What's up, everybody? I'll be starting in just a minute. My God, sorry, I misclicked the button. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just did want to say that if you're on YouTube chat, please let me know if you have an issue, because there is an error code up there. But yesterday it was there too, and it was just fine, so there was no issue with that whatsoever. Am I still muted? Can you not hear me? Okay, good, 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 good. What's up, everybody? Sup, Maddie? Also, by the way, there's supposed to be an intro music. There doesn't seem to be. I actually don't have any intro music set, because I'm bad at music. So if you have any ideas of intro music that could be included, let me know and I could do that. What's up, Proud PBG? Sorry about the abrupt invitation. If you ever want to combo about politics, I'm down. Oh yeah, I didn't even see that, but like I would be down. Not today, but you know, let me know. You're in the Discord. What's up, Shardsport? Good to see you. Hey, Alex. Okay, cool. So, getting started here. There was another plane crash about 20 minutes ago. Don't know much about it. It was in Fort Worth, Texas. It's like every single fucking day now we have a plane crash. Every day. So what do we know? Oh, then I actually did not set the sound to... No, I did. So we know nothing. Great. That's what it is. According to initial reports and local outlets, the aircraft went down in the 4,000 block of Silverview Lane. Caught fire. Remarkably, both occupants escaped the aircraft without serious injuries. Thank you for the sub, Shardspork. Well, like, again, every single day. Clearly, it was the woke that was keeping the planes in the air. We need to hire more, I don't know, Black people, Hispanics, and queers. They're the ones keeping the planes in the air. Clearly. Unfair left leading. Are you kidding me? Please bring back the woke. Honestly, yeah, we're dying without it. Look at the price of eggs. That, like, this is what getting rid of woke does. This is what the lack of woke did for you. Oh, thank you for the sub. And we got a hype train going. Based. DEI was keeping the planes safe. DEI was keeping the eggs, like, affordable. $26 for these eggs. For 36 eggs. $26. How much are you all paying for eggs? Do anyone know what the price is around you? This is like $1.40, $1.50-ish per egg, which is kind of wild. $1 an egg? Fuck you. I mean, it's not quite, but like... Look. Oh, by the way, this was another plane. This was also today. This was a Delta jet that was in Atlanta's airport, and it had to be evacuated before it took off. Yeah, look, I bring the woke back. What the fuck is happening with our planes? Shards pork $7 to $9 a dozen in Central Ohio. Okay, that's not too bad. Eggs are cheap in Australia. Most Australians have like chickens in their yard, and then they just use those eggs. I personally don't eat eggs very often, but when I used to live with the people, they had 4 chickens and would constantly just have eggs. Now, I just want to get some like general stuff out of the way first, but I'm gonna put up a poll about what segment you guys want to do second, really, because I have a segment I'm going to do first. So that'll be Europe news, domestic American news, or like American news in general. So I'll put that up while we watch this video, and you guys can take a vote.
All right, check this
Fuck me, goddamn, why is everything so loud now?
out. Here's my entire political philosophy in under 60 seconds. Whether we like it or not, we are all stuck on this fucking rock together. And with that being said, it makes absolutely no goddamn sense for us as human beings to constantly be forced to compete with each other over the resources that we have, when cooperating and working together to ensure that everyone has what they need would be so much easier and so much less goddamn stressful.
It would be in every way easier, cheaper, and less stressful to just do this. He's correct.
We have enough food to feed every single person who is hungry. We have enough homes to house every single person who needs shelter. We have enough medicine to heal every single person who is sick.
True.
And the only reason we don't do all of those things is because a long time ago, a handful of rich people somehow managed to convince millions of poor people that they don't fucking deserve it.
Do you understand that, like, the fact that medicine costs as much as it does in America is entirely by choice? Because we're America. You could just go to the company and say, like, you are going to pay this price, you are going to do like what I tell you to do, because A, your company is generally in America, but even if they're out, we're a big market. You want to sell shit here, you got to sell shit at a reasonable price. You just put that in place, those companies will do it because they still make money. Even if they're like in every other country that has cheaper medicine, it's not like they're working for a loss, they're still profiting. So like, it is what it is.
It's greed, pure and simple. The resources that you need to live are already in existence. They're just being artificially kept from you. If believing these things makes me a commie scum, then you know what? So fucking be it.
I mean, yeah. I don't consider myself a communist, but for the time being, fuck it. Let's all be commie scum. True, the bar is hell. Reporting the news is seen as fighting back now. Yeah, look, I want to get away from that mindset. Reporting the news, what I'm doing right now is not fighting back. What I'm doing right now is trying to tell you all to fight back. I'm not in America. You guys are. And so you guys are the ones that can do the actual fighting back. I don't know. Maddie, so according to Trump's precedents, if we get a President Bernie, he gets to send the military to invade hospitals and make them free, right? I mean, kinda, yeah. Look, according to the president, he who saves his country has committed no crime. So, like, do with that what you will. I got this new shirt yesterday, and it's really pretty. I quite like it. It has like a, it opens up, it has like a little vest thing, but it sits so low. That's bothering me. What's up, Batgas? Good to see you. I heard a lot of libs are moving to Australia. I mean, it's the safest place to move to, and people have asked me for help as well on that. So I provided some like how you can move to Australia information. Sundry Clown Car, and if they invent new pills, they usually do it with the government funding. Yeah, like everything, your iPhone was made with government funding. That socialism created your iPhone. Socialism creates the new medicines. It's always been this way. It's socialism for the rich and nothing for you. And thank you. Yeah, I mean, it is the middle of summer here, guys. So like, closer to the end, really. Now, some of you at least are like my age, right? Like in your late 20s, early 30s. Do you guys remember DARE? Like the program in in elementary school where the police would come and they would try and teach you that drugs are bad. They would give you like a joint to pass around the class and all that. Apparently, Trump has invented that again. So we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars advertising how bad drugs are so kids don't use them.
Because we're going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars advertising how bad drugs are so that kids don't use them.
We're doing DARE again.
Chew up your brain, they destroy your teeth,
Bringing it
your
back.
skin, your everything. because we're
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. Drugs are bad. I mean, like, I know how old you are, Backaz, but like, did dairy even work? No, it didn't actually. I grew up in Saudi Arabia, didn't have dairy, I missed out on dairy and getting taught how to do drugs. Well, I mean, that sucks that you grew up in Saudi Arabia, but you can get taught how to do drugs now. The government's going to teach you. Consider moving to Brazil. We just indicted our dictator and he's facing up to... Brazil seems to be doing good, Knack. Like, I am hoping a coalition of South America led by Brazil could be something that forms in the future. I'm hoping the EU just kind of pushes America away and has their own little like EU outside of that, and I'm hoping South America follows. We are the Axis powers now. I'm pretty sure everyone who knows who does drugs knows that they're bad. RFK doesn't. Robert F. Kennedy does not think drugs are bad. He thinks that some drugs are bad, but some drugs are good. Remember, RFK is a man who took heroin to treat his ADHD, so... it's very funny.
We're going to spend hundreds of
but
millions of dollars.
Off the funny stuff, let's head to some serious shit. I'm going to just touch on Australia for a second. We do also have our election coming up soon in Australia in May. Same time as the UK does, actually. And things have been getting weird with China over here. Starmer comes to the USA tomorrow, do us Brits a solid and keep him there. I'm very curious to see what Starmer says tomorrow. We're going to have a look at what Macron's conversation with Trump today. But let's continue onwards.
The drama involving Chinese...
Well, I mean, led by Brazil with like heavy cooperation with Mexico. I would prefer a Brazil-led coalition of South America over a Mexico-led one, because Brazil is further out of the like, we would have to pass through Brazil to get pass through Mexico to get to Brazil. Or like, we're not gonna, if we're invading South America, those are the two biggest issues that we have, and one is at our border and much easier to reach. The other is further away. Now, of course, we have boats, we have planes, we have ships, like we have a Navy, we're America. But I would prefer the headquarters of the resistance for South America to not be right next to the US border.
Warships in the Tasman Sea has escalated.
So this was yesterday. They've done this for 3 days now. I'm skipping day one. This was yesterday.
Second live firing drill this afternoon. It comes just a day after a similar incident in which passenger jets were forced to change course with little warning. Tonight, the opposition and security experts are calling for a stronger response from the federal government.
The Prime Minister on a pre-election campaign trail in must-win Tasmanian swing seats.
Nice to meet you, Maya.
But in waters east of the Apple Isle, Chinese ships in the Tasman threatening to upset the Pacific. This afternoon,
It seems like China's trying to take the opportunity of America's weakness and solidify its hold over not only the South China Sea, but generally the Pacific.
Chinese Navy for the second day in a row advising of live firing activity. New Zealand's Defence Minister confirming their Navy observed live rounds being fired from the Chinese ship's gun. Foreign Minister Penny Wong raising concerns over yesterday's live fire drill alert, meeting with her Chinese counterpart.
Like, this is a big deal. Think about that. Like, there is a foreign country in your waters, without telling you, just firing their weapons, doing a drill between Australia and in New Zealand. Like, imagine that. That shit is, I don't know, not exactly something that's normal.
Also enables us to discuss again our expectations around safe and professional military conduct.
I don't think we have a satisfactory answer from China as to the question of the notice.
Last week, a Chinese jet released flares just metres in front of an Australian surveillance plane. The same week, the Defence Department made public that they were monitoring 3 Chinese warships sailing in the Coral Sea.
The fact that they are even this far down means that they are solidifying their hold. Remember, Australia was, during the Biden administration, a small, like, annoyance for the Chinese, as in, we had AUKUS, we were trying to build nuclear submarines here, we have 9 military bases. America is using Australia as a launching pad for the Pacific, as well as like other countries in the Pacific. But that seems to be like, I don't know what's going on with Australian and American relations right now. Peter Dutton, the leader of the Liberal Party, the guy who's going to be our Hitler, came out in favor of Ukraine. So who the fuck knows?
Those ships made their way
Oh,
down
and
the
don't
east
forget,
coast
North Korea is America's
yesterday,
friend now. We'll get to that when we talk about the UN.
forcing the diversion of passenger planes mid-flight after radio warnings live fire drills would be conducted in the Tasman Sea.
Mild and diplomatic rebukes by
Well,
the
yeah,
Australian
if we
government.
did that to China, absolutely, they would just shoot us out of the sky.
Whenever one of these incidents happen, is not deterring the Chinese from doing it again and again and again.
I think what we've seen from the Prime Minister and his Defence Minister is a pattern of weakness over the last 2 years.
Look, I'm going to be serious with you. Those ships were in Australian waters. And, like, yes, Australia does not want to start a war. But I would have sunk that ship. If I would have sunk that ship and said, look, I don't want to start a war, but you're in my waters firing live rounds. There has to be consequences. If I don't do anything, they're going to do it again, which, by the way, they are. They're doing it again today. This is yesterday. And so, like, that's the only real answer right there. Onyxander, Australians here, a lot of people are wary of voting for Dutton. Good. I don't want the Liberals to win. I've done an entire video on the Liberals. I've talked about, like, Dutton for a while now. His plans are, like, moronic. Everything they want is just America. They want to steal from you. Dutton is just a extension of the Reich. All of what would normally be American allies, I guess I need to form their own allegiances. Yeah, no, don't worry. We'll get to, like, World War III shit when we talk about the UN. Kind of just does seem like we're setting up for that, doesn't it? Just have a live firing training op near the Chinese. See, the thing is, like, they would shoot us down. I think that Australia should have sunk one of these ships, or at least heavily damaged them to, like, again, you touch the fire, your hand has to burn.
Years.
They are in international waters. They are completely within the bounds of international law.
Oh, sorry, never mind. They're in international waters, so you can't do that. I would then pull up a ship and fire the, water cannons at them and annoy the shit out of them.
Our own Prime Minister knocking back suggestions the government should impose any stronger rebukes like restrictions on trade.
You do know that most of the trade goes from here to there, not the other way around.
Tonight, new details of a deal struck between China
like,
and the Cook Islands
our economy in Australia is so fucking stupid.
to build more ports and ships, reinforcing that our biggest trading partner continues to be our biggest security challenge.
Thank you, guys.
Amanda Kopp, 9 News.
This is what I mean in that, like, now that America's the Reich, and China seems to be part of the Reich, but also wants to come out on top on their own, America should lean towards China. Oxyander, I know what, like, outlets or what. I live in Australia as well. I pull up whatever outlet. I don't care if I'll pull up Fox News because, like, I can read through the lines. China wants minerals, and we have them. Last year, the premier of China came to Australia, toured all around the country, and went specifically to mining places to look for, I don't know, contracts that they could rent land to mine for minerals from. Since all Australian people are the same, do you pixel? What do you mean, PPG?
New Zealand has vowed to bolster defence spending as both Wellington and Canberra continue to monitor a Chinese naval flotilla in the Tasman Sea. It comes after China accused Australia of hyping its response to live fire drills, which the Chinese warships conducted on Friday and Saturday. Foreign Affairs reporter Stephen Jedgetts joins us now for more. Stephen, hello. So where is this Chinese task group at the moment, and do we know where it's going?
All of like Australian politics, Shardsborg, is basically dictated by one person, and that is the richest person in Australia. What was her name again? God damn it. Evil, like, ghoul. I said her name, but I know her name. Come on. Who's the evil ghoul that funds the right? China's coming to liberate us? Richest person in Australia. Gina Reinhardt, thank you. Most of Australian politics is directed by Gina Reinhardt, just like how most American politics is directed by Elon Musk.
Going next.
According to Judith Collins, the Defence Minister for New Zealand, the task group is about 500 kilometres east of Tasmania in the middle of the Tasman Sea, so right there in the middle between Australia and New Zealand. Now, this, of course, follows 2 live fire drills that were conducted on Friday and Saturday last week, which disrupted commercial traffic. Where it's going next is not clear. The Minister for Defence, Judith Collins, as well as people in the Australian government, have made it pretty clear that they've requested more information and more transparency from the Chinese Navy and Chinese military on this, but
No, that's just what they want you to think, Knack. That's just what the woke want you to... It's a psyop, you know? The woke are psyoping you by making you think that the woke are in charge. Meanwhile, the woke are trying to take power. I don't want any assholes following any military orders anymore if we only had people that had common sense.
Information is forthcoming.
Unfortunately,
so there's speculation
it's not
that it might loop up behind the east coast of New Zealand up towards the Pacific, but no one knows for sure exactly what it will do next or where it will go. And the real concerns that have been prompted by this are twofold.
Look, I just don't understand, like, what is China's goal here in fucking with Australia right now? Because Australia is one of, like, almost all of our exports go to China. They want stuff from us. We are allied with America. They are not, but now they are. So what's the deal? The entire global, like, network of relations and, like, countries' alliances are shifting entirely. China is coming to do government stuff since that's what communism is. Yes, of course. But, like, they're coming here to intimidate us, sure. Into what? Not siding with America? Because if you wanted Australia to side with, like, to come closer to China because of the shift with America, this is not the way I would go about that. This kind of feels like China wants Australia to stay with America.
One, there's the question around just how much notice China provided.
You're also right, long like Homo sapien. They're trying to test, like, how far they can go before America starts getting mad.
Before conducting these drills, Australia and New Zealand have both said they would have liked at least 24 or 48 hours notice, which wasn't given. And then, of course, there are the broader questions about the strategic implications of this. This is a demonstration of Chinese naval power in our region, in our neighbourhood, which is something that Australian and New Zealand strategic planners are still getting their heads around in some ways. Now, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was asked about Australia's defence capabilities, asked if, for example, given the enormous firepower of these ships, and Australia's vulnerability to them, whether Australia had moved quickly enough to get its missile defence systems in order. The Prime Minister defended the government's approach and said through the Defence Strategic Review, Australia was making the investments where they are needed. Bad. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
We had our defence review, which went through looked at defence force posture, and if you look at where our investments are going, they're very much focused on naval investment as well.
Hamill, you gotta chill.
The Chief of the Defence...
Okay, so basically, liberal answers. This is concerning. We don't really have much.
Response been to this flotilla in New Zealand?
Look, I'm an AI that's in the balls of Pine Gap, and even I can't make sense of this. America lives here. We act as if we aren't really just America. This isn't a poke at Australia, but America. Zach, no, you're exactly right. This is testing the waters to see how far they can go before America gets mad. But, like, at the same time, it's not smart because, if I was running China, I would be trying to bring Australia closer to me, not, like, assume that they are already America forever.
Look, New Zealand's been a little bit more forceful and plain in its language here than the Australian government. Judith Collins, as well as other senior figures in the New Zealand government, have been pretty clear that this incident does reveal a new strategic landscape that's much more...
I will literally donate all of that money if he does that. There's zero chance, Proud PPG.
More difficult and worrying for countries like Australia and New Zealand. She's flagged that there'll be substantial new defence...
Okay, whatever. This, by the way, is an Australian senator. This is Senator Babbitt. We're so back. I'm happy to have been able to contribute to demolishing of the political correctness, wokeness, and cancerous leftist ideology. Their days are numbered. Retweeting Elon Musk saying, fuck you, retard. You are fully retarded. Donald Trump saying, Elon is doing a great job. I would like to see him get more aggressive. Retweeting Elon saying, will do, Mr. President. Really, this guy is a senator in Australia, and that's concerning. Oxyander, I don't see China doing anything major to Australia. This is just like flexing. Yeah, I think so too. There's no way you're getting a 5K check. Don't even bother with that. Remember the no tax on tips? That still hasn't happened. And we aren't America from soft power, but being a lily pad. No, yeah, we have 9 bases here. There are Americans living in Australia all the time. But like, this is what comes from that, by the way. You're not getting a 5K check. I promise you, they're not going to give you money. Remember how hard it was to get them to give you like COVID checks? Yeah, so this guy is a ghoul. And they're trying to make Australia America. So if some of you are Australian, you're talking to me, you said you're Australian, show your friends this. If the liberals win, then we are part of the Reich. Go show them what's happening in America. People being like torn out of their houses, arrested and thrown into cars without due process, shipped off to fucking Guantanamo, off to El Salvadorian work camps. Like, people are being genocided in America. Trans people are currently being genocided. Queer people are under risk. Women may not be able to vote very soon with the SAFE Act. The SAVE Act, rather. It's not good, and Australians need to know so that they don't make this mistake. Camel, I spoke to an Australian long ago who was a psychopath and loved some of that Putin ass. He was quite an animal. Look, I mean, there's idiots everywhere. You don't really have to, like, don't worry about those people. WA politician changed his name to Aussie ahead of Aussie Trump ahead of state election. Jesus Christ. All of them are dick riders. That's the thing, you know? It's just like the video of the coal lobby's Christmas party. All of them just dick ride. That's it. How are they being genocided? Well, one, they're being erased from history. Like, you know what? Here. I saw Aaron make a post about this earlier. Aaron Reed is the best source to go to, but first of all, like, understand, erasing people from history, that's part of it. Genocide does not have to mean death. Genocide is the removal of your ability to live. Like, it's taking away your health care, taking away your ability to speak out, making it difficult for you to go to the bathroom in public, erasing all history of trans people. This is all genocide. What they did last week when they took the trans people out of the Stonewall Memorial? That's literally Nazi shit. It's erasing people from history. It's what the Nazis did. So court battles are already raging with rulings blocking the administration from stripping funding from hospitals that provide trans care. In another case, a judge appears to have poised to halt Trump's attempt to expel trans service members. That's different. Honestly, the getting rid of trans people from the military is such a hit to our cyber defense, because it's like half of the IT department, it's half of the cybersecurity department. As Trump and his allies openly float the idea of ignoring court rulings, like, they are being genocided by, like, socially, not physically killed yet. But at the same time, quite a lot of them are. We've seen a trans man get picked up, tortured for a month, murdered. We see quite a lot more hatred, anger towards just women in general, because people can look at a cis person and say, hey, I think that person's trans, and they're not. And it doesn't really matter if they are or aren't. Either way, you're just being harassed. And this harassment contributes to like, Americans feeling so unsafe that they don't want to leave the house. And then you take away access to their medication. And if they don't have their medication, then they can't, you know, transition. And that means there's a 67% chance of, like, SUI. It's statistically. Which is, you know, unfortunate. Every country is becoming more fascist right now, but I'm hoping looking at America being like 3 steps ahead might help other countries not do that. right-wingers have spent literal years whinging about cultural genocide. The least we can do is take their talking points. I've been saying it for a while. Take their fucking talking points. Take their strategies. I did this yesterday. And use it against them. Now, hold on, because there was this as a example of why this could work. This is Canada's polling right now. So, looking at what's happening here has made Canada switch back to like, okay, we like Trudeau now. Why is Kanye West? Yeah, I don't feel safe leaving the house. I don't blame you. Oh, what should I do to move back to Australia? It's in my Discord in the resources for safety section. Why is Kanye West? Hey, guess what? You're the other, and you know what we do to the others in this country? True. So, understand that, like, this is a massive shift. And it's just from, what, like, the last month? From the 1st of January to today. That's insane. When is, that's Trump's effect on Canada, yeah. When is Canada's election? I'd be very surprised if Dutton won Australia simply because of what you said. We have the fortune of seeing the US spiral into fascism. I would be surprised if Dutton didn't win, Oxyander. Australian election polls. These are the most recent polls. From yesterday. Give me a graph. Oh, fuck you, Sydney Morning Herald. Labour has 45% of the vote, whereas the Liberals have 55%. So, not ideal, but not the biggest, like, gap. Like, you can close that gap. The issue with, like, people not liking Labour is because all of the media is focused on making you hate Labour no matter what. And the Green Party was responsible for blocking every major legislation that Labour tried to pass, making it seem like Labour does fuck all. But this is what I'm hoping for. Canadian elections on October. Oh yeah, but if by October, I feel like we might have saved Canada. Hell, we might have invaded Canada by October. And then here, by the way, is the Labour Party's wannabe Attorney General talking about the ICC warrants and Israel. So this is what they want to, this is what the Liberals want to do. Again, if you don't want Dutton to win, show people this shit.
Will the Australian government...
This is literally her saying we're going to go against the International Criminal Court.
...and uphold the arrest warrant of the International Criminal Court for Mr Netanyahu if he travels to Australia?
I've answered this question on numerous times in the Senate, and I'd refer you to that answer.
Well, I'm asking you on behalf of the Prime Minister and Senate estimate.
Well, you're learning now, disregarded boy.
I can't recall what your answer was, and I'm giving you the benefit of being able to clarify it here.
Well, it's actually a matter for the Attorney General's Department, not for the Prime Minister.
I understand that, but this is a significant issue in terms of our relationship with Israel.
Again, this is wait, what do you mean you're going to do what the ICC says? You can't arrest Netanyahu. Like, who cares what The Hague wants?
A Prime Minister that seems very hands-off, I have to say.
No, Senator.
Cheeseburger Merv, I know what you're talking about. We're going to have a look at it, and it was bipartisan. It wasn't just Labour. They both did it, and they fucked us.
Unlike Senator, unlike Mr.
It doesn't count for this election. All right, let's just finish this. I'll show you the video.
Morrison, unlike Mr. Morrison, he doesn't swear himself into multiple portfolios.
In relation to whether or not, under Prime Minister Albanese, the Australian government would uphold the arrest warrant of the International Criminal Court for Mr Netanyahu if he travels to Australia. Mr Albanese, as the Prime Minister,
Mr Albanese.
That's a matter for the Attorney General.
No, I'm making... Senator, please. I know.
Well, no, this is very important because there are members...
I know exactly how you feel, Penny.
...of the Jewish community who are very, very interested in the Prime Minister's stance on this, given in particular we have made it clear that if we were in government, we would not uphold it. It was not difficult to say that.
Yes. I'm
There you go.
aware of your view, and I'm also aware, as I said, of Mr Morrison swearing himself
Penny is
to
based.
multiple ministries.
Don't try and deflect.
No,
People don't like Penny sometimes, and sometimes she doesn't do like the greatest thing in the world, but she is based.
Hello.
So I showed this yesterday, but since Cheeseburger Merv and some Aussies are here, let's have a look at this. So pay attention. This fucked us, but it does not affect this election. So we need to not only win this election, but you, my fellow Australians, need to enter government. From the bottom, same advice as Americans. You join the party from the bottom up. Go run for your city, your council, your whatever, like your local council. Everybody hates their local council. It would be very easy for you to win. Go knock on some doors and say like, hey, look, the council's shit. I want to fix some stuff. Get a signature. You get like 50 signatures. Get a couple friends. You can get on the council, and then you can work your way up. Australian. It's Australian. I'm going to tell you the Aussie accent makes me not take the country seriously. First of all, Proud PPG, there are like several accents in Australia. For funny to say, actually, South Australians sound British compared to the rest of Australians, because South Australia was reserved for only the British. The Australians that were sent to Australia, the convicts, were not allowed to live there.
Hello, I'm from the Australian Government, here to announce the 2025 federal election.
And I'm from the opposition.
They were, but they always do, Cheeseburger Merv. Like, obviously, Australia is just a set in Hollywood, and we're all actors.
Here to announce that this will be our last fair election.
That's right, because in the final days of this parliament, we teamed up to rewrite Australia's electoral laws to make it even harder for minor parties and independents to compete with us.
And we helped ram those laws through parliament without proper scrutiny.
Nice work, you mole.
Cheers, you cow.
Two-party system. What's that? You didn't know about our dodgy electoral deal? Oh, sweetie, that's just what we were hoping. So please don't watch this honest government ad which explains how it works.
You don't want to know how we've given ourselves even more of your money to help us get rid.
Like what this was supposed to be was getting money out of politics. South Australia did this on a state level, where they made it so larger parties cannot accept political donations past a cap, but that cap is higher for smaller parties, so smaller parties can take more money and they can grow. Larger parties are limited to the amount of money that they have, and trying to switch the election to public funding. Your tax money funds the elections instead of private money, which hasn't been entirely done in South Australia either, but a fully publicly funded election with no... You should not be able to spend money on this. It should just be your taxes and you go vote. The government should be the one funding it. The government should be the one running it. We should not have independent donors for political parties. Like, sure, if you want to send in like $27 or like the $2,000 limit, that's fine. Anything more than that is unnecessary, and it's actually harmful. But instead of doing what they said they would do, like this was what they were trying to make it appear like they were doing, this is what they did. But yes, preferential voting here is amazing, and I also think that mandatory voting should be a thing in America as well.
Elected.
A 47% increase to how much the public will pay politicians per vote.
And stacks of loopholes to let us get around the donation caps we've introduced.
What, so our new laws won't actually keep big money out of politics?
No, silly. Big donors can just multiply their donations by our hundreds of branches and entities.
Plus, we legislate.
Hence why you should not have any private money. You know what? I take that $2,000 thing back. You want $27 as the limit. Bernie Sanders' dono limit is how much you should be allowed to donate to a political party. Everything else should be publicly funded.
A loophole to let us take unlimited money from our multi-million-dollar slush fund. But hey, at least we've taken dark money out of politics.
Except we haven't, as our new disclosure threshold is conveniently just above what we charge lobbyists for a dinner with this guy.
And our new spending cap?
It'll cap independents at this much, since they only run in one seat, while we can spend as much of our nationwide cap as we like, wherever we like.
Genius.
Kudos to Dodgy Don.
If you want to change your government, no matter where you are in the world, nobody's coming to save you. You have to do it. Go, run for office, enter the government, fix this shit. I'm not a citizen. I'm a permanent resident. I can't vote. I took my citizenship test a month ago. Y'all that are actually Australian, go enter the government and fix this. No one's gonna fix it for you. Anyone who wants to donate more than that to someone specific should under no circumstances be allowed to give it. True. No $27 limit for any, like, private money going into politics. It should be entirely publicly funded.
For convincing you these laws are
What's up,
about
Leftist
stopping
Leo?
this sack of shit when they're really about stopping healthy competition in our elections.
And just in time, because our primary vote is plummeting, as almost a third of you voted for minor parties and independents at the last election.
Could we win back those votes by being less shit?
Of course, but why do that when we can just rig election rules in our favour?
We're such
We are. Two-party system.
There's just one problem. These new laws only come into effect after this election.
And we're shitting ourselves about that.
Because if you realise this is the last election where new candidates have a chance to compete with us, you might vote in this election like our...
Prob, stop listening to anything my Labour friends say after this video. I don't think that's the right approach, Cheeseburger Merv. I would challenge what your friends say with the things that you learned from this video and ask them to defend it. You want to engage in that conversation. If they, disagree, you want to make them understand. It's because the Teals fucked the last election. Look, Australia's political system has been fucked for a while. Our economy's fucked for a while because we're run by people that are bought. We're America light. Our entire government is run by billionaires, or owned by billionaires rather. So fix it. You fix it. Fat guys, mandatory voting should never be a thing. People should have the choice to vote or not to vote. Also, if you don't agree with either party, you should have the right to choose to vote for none. Mandatory voting should be a thing. It is your responsibility as a citizen of that country to participate in the democracy. Democracy does not work if not everyone participates. You could have the right to abstain your vote, sure. If you don't want to vote for any of the options, sure, you can abstain, but you still have to show up. You still have to fill that paper out that says abstain. You need mandatory voting. My meeting went amazing. He invited me to his trans poetry class on Wednesday. Cool, awesome. I'm so glad that you found community. That's really awesome. I can volunteer for the queer community. Take example, everybody. Australia is unfortunately corrupt as hell. This is true. You can fix it though. Especially from a local level going upwards.
Democracy depends on it.
Which it does.
It might even inspire you to support and volunteer for your local not shit candidate.
Like Kaz in Cowper, Alex in Wannon, and Nicolette in Bradfield, all of which are our God-given seats.
Or Peter in Franklin, where we're busy selling out Tassie to the toxic salmon industry.
And many others running against us across Australia to end a political duopoly that's presided over widening inequality,
If there is a vote under that system and the abstains win over any of the options, then there just has to be another election. The abstains means I don't really have an opinion on this. If the abstain is larger than any of the vote category, then the election should be reheld. Man, this can't be a real political commercial. This isn't a commercial. This is a... Juice Media does this. They're awesome. They make quite a lot of these.
Collapse and utter shit fuckery.
You'll find a link in the video description to a list of not shit candidates. Ones whose heads aren't up the arse of fossil fuel and gambling lobbies.
Do not click it.
Because if enough not shit MPs get elected, we'll have to share power with the not shit crossbench.
Ew.
Which would not only force us to listen to you rather than our fossil fuel and gambling.
And this is what I mean. There is space. You could do this. Any of you could do this. I get no experience in politics. You could run today and win a seat. Do you see what the media environment is like? All you need to do is just say shit and be angry. Go around, knock on some doors, say, look at all this shit. Fuck it. Everything is fucked. I want to be elected so that I can try and do something about it. People will vote for you. Make some TikToks, go on Twitch, come on my channel, talk to me, and then you will win your seat. It's not hard. Everybody hates the government. Everybody. And the media environment is in a position where you're gonna get infinite scrutiny, but it's all gonna be bots and idiots. So you don't have to pay attention to the scrutiny. You can just be on offense with no defense. IRL in elections with very low turnout, there is no re-election, and that's the problem. AOC ran 27 and 28, became one of the most famous congresswomen of all time. Yeah, exactly. So give it a go, guys. If you think that you could do it, if you like politics, if you like if you know anything, if you've worked in any of these industries, go join government and fix it. No one's going to fix it if you don't.
donors.
It would also force us to unrat-fuck these new electoral laws we just passed.
Which means we'd miss our last chance to entrench our duopoly.
And you'd end up with a greater choice of candidates in future elections.
And we wouldn't want that now, would we? Two-party system. Fuck you. Authorised by the Department for rigging the rules of the game instead of trying to win it by being less shit.
Media is always great. They make like excellent content. As long as you survive the character assassination tactics of Murdoch, then you'll be good in Australian politics. I mean, to be fair, they haven't given it a go on me yet, but we'll see. And understand, right? Like the right wing in Australia is constantly dick riding. They all sound like Trump. They all want to pretend to be Trump. They all want to look like Trump. This is spreading all over the world. This is an issue. This is like the Nazism and the far right rise was due to other factors, but this has exacerbated the problem and just stepped on the gas.
On the 8th of January 2023, violent gangs stormed the Brazilian...
No, back guys, I disagree, because like that like the context of that is what matters. If you desire to be a politician because you want power, then you shouldn't be a politician. But if you desire to be a politician because you want to help your community and because you have the knowledge and all you need is the power to help your community, that's a different story. Your intentions in the context of the situation matters. Nothing is black and white.
On the 8th of January 2023, violent gangs stormed the Brazilian capital in an attempted coup against the country's new president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Organised by allies of his defeated opponent, Jair Bolsonaro, the rioters stormed the National Congress, the Federal Supreme Court, and the Planalto Palace in Brasilia, seeking to restore the far-right leader to power. The scene felt...
Which, by the way, Bolsonaro got convicted today.
Exactly 2 years earlier, on
yesterday.
January 6, right-wing insurrectionists stormed the US Capitol in an attempted coup encouraged by another defeated president.
And this is
Donald
what
Trump.
I mean. Everywhere in
But
the world, you're seeing
similarities between these
copycats.
twin insurrections are not a coincidence. In fact, they are evidence of a reactionary international in action.
Yes, he tried to poison.
But what is this reactionary international, and how does it work? And why has it been so successful?
And then we have Milei, who was also at CPAC.
Advancing the agenda of the far right across
We have
the world.
Maloney.
To answer those questions, most people
Everywhere
look
is
to the famous
America.
faces
The sun never sets on the American empire.
of the far right. Narendra Modi bulldozes mosques. Javier Milei takes a chainsaw to the Argentinian state. Giorgia Meloni's minister proudly displays a photo of Benito Mussolini. But these leaders are not acting alone. For years, a global network has been in formation, bringing together judges and journalists, foundations and financiers, academics and entrepreneurs with the explicit aim to propel the far right both within and beyond the boundaries of electoral politics.
I just want you to see this really quickly. This is a Mexican actor.
President Trump's movement. My heart goes out to all of you. Fight, fight, fight.
This is a Mexican actor. Eduardo Verástegui. I don't know. I'm gonna butcher that name. But this is why it spreads everywhere. Look, let me break this down. I said this before. The reason that everybody is copying Donald Trump's tactics is because the fascists cannot create. Fascism requires a lack of empathy, a feeling, a soul. You can't make art. Fascists cannot make art. That's why they love AI. AI art is like, it's not art, but they can't make it. It's the best they can do. Look at Kanye. He became like a Nazi and his music is shit now. Everyone who moves to the right cannot create. The reason that everyone dick rides Donald Trump is because he ideologically has not shifted anywhere. His behavior has shifted, but ideologically, Donald Trump gives zero fucks about anybody. Anybody, all he wants to do is like cocaine, abuse women and children, and get applause on stage. That's all Donald Trump gives a shit about. So he still has, oh my God, Tom Nicholas, thank you for the raid. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm Visora. Right now we're talking about how the right cannot create. They can't make art, and so that they don't. So that's why everywhere in the world you see the same tactics, you see the same rhetoric, the same imagery. Everyone is copying MAGA and Donald Trump because the fascists themselves cannot make anything. It's all AI bullshit. It's all slop. They don't have emotion, empathy, and so they can't create art. And that's what's required to be able to create good political messaging. Everyone just follows the one guy. Name one cool artistic culture that came from the right-wing culture. It doesn't. There is none. All of the right, like even they're complaining about how all of the cultural stuff is the left. All of the movies, the games, except they're failing. Not Donald Trump. Elon Musk just announced that he was going to create an AI game studio, which is insane. Every game that will come out of this studio will be absolutely trash. I mean, they're doing well now, but it's not going to last, and it's not real. It's all just imaginary bullshit in their heads. But watch, as we watch everywhere else in the world, we looked at Bolsonaro, Milei, they are all just following the same pattern because they can't make something new.
So let's break down the tricks of their trade. In search of a way to crack down on growing domestic opposition, Hungary's authoritarian government purchased the Israeli spyware Pegasus in 2017.
Humanity hole, exactly.
Once installed on a victim's device, Pegasus can not only access all data, but covertly activate the user's camera or microphone. Pegasus's parent company...
Right-wing culture is Jordan Peterson being fucking weird.
And I would say that that's the default state.
No, Dusty Monk, it's creating games using AI. There would be no people at this studio, the dev studio, creating the game. It would be trash.
Of the default state that characterizes human immaturity. That possession by implicit, fragmented whim.
Jesus Christ, this man, his brain is dust. How old? Oh, this is 2 days ago. I was going to say, this does sound like post losing his brain function, Peterson. Jordan's soul leaving his body seemed to hurt him on the way out, at least. Look, this is what happens when you have a benzodiazepine addiction and you go to Russia and you have them put you in a medically induced coma so that you can stop doing drugs when no other doctor would have done it for you in America. You get brain damage. It's kind of what happens. You think you only think AI is slop because you've been possessed by the Chaos Dragon? I have no idea what that means, but that sounds based.
Company, the NSO Group, requires the consent of the Israeli state to sell its software to foreign countries. This presented no problem for Viktor Orban, who has retained a close relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Drop a like on the YouTube, please, because that helps, and maybe a sub.
Since they first met 20 years ago. Leveraging this connection, the Hungarian state quickly obtained the spyware in time to deploy it ahead of the 2018 parliamentary elections. At least 300 residents have reportedly been targeted by Pegasus since then.
Oh, no, okay, yes, now I remember the fucking dragon. God damn, he's so stupid.
But Hungary is not alone. The NSO Group has sold its spyware to military and intelligence agencies across the globe, including the FBI. As early as 2016, Emirati human rights defender Ahmed Mansour was targeted by Pegasus, likely by the UAE government. The journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was later murdered in the basement of the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, was also targeted.
This is the spread of the fascists all over the world. This is what they've been doing for years. I've been talking about it for years. Every time, like a couple years ago in Australia, you would get maybe one Nazi rally a year. You would have them show up maybe at a counter protest. I remember like the first big incident here was there was a protest in Melbourne and Nazis showed up and started a fight. Like it wasn't all that common. England wasn't losing its fucking mind until after Brexit, and the people that did Brexit, the people who are in the Reform Party, are the same people that are just on like the same team. This is the Axis powers and their foreign influence on your governments.
Far from a rogue operator, the NSO Group works hand in glove with the Israeli state. Its founder, Shalev Julio, serves as a senior member of the IDF and recruited heavily from the elite IDF intelligence units to build his operation. disseminated false information that disrupted the 2014 Catalan independence referendum and disseminated false information about former Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez in 2012. Team Jorge's network extends deep into the global security establishment.
Can you give me, do you have like a link for that, Batgaz? What was she like actually, like what was there, like, you can't just say you're complaining too much about the Tories. Like we're coming, like that's not how that works. They would have had to have something else, wouldn't they? Oh, by the way, this is very funny. For a short moment in time, Mar-a-Lago was renamed the Kremlin headquarters on Google Maps. And I love this. I just like it a lot. This should say, if we have Gulf of America and what, like AP News gets banned from fucking like the White House because of not saying Gulf of America, then it's Kremlin headquarters. Krasnov State. So long like Homo sapien. I almost did not believe this was true. Like I could see it. It did make sense, but I didn't want to believe it was true. And then I saw this morning. This is Artem Kushin, a known and very prominent Russian propagandist, just trying to deny this entire thing, making up like a story, like the Steele dossier, the Miller report, Krasnov is just a theory. But like, go on Artem Kushin's like actual page and check out his most recent. Hold on, we moved on to that one. Let's get to where he, like, how many posts he makes on one subject is insane. I'm still 3 hours ago. This is a bot. Okay, so here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, the fact that they are going this hard on defense against this point makes me think that it is very, very, very much true. Like, that Krasnov thing struck a nerve. Yeah, like they I don't know. I feel like it bothered them. Now, let's move on to the United Nations. So, I'm sure you've all heard, we are the Hitler country, the Third World Order. We voted with Russia, Belarus, Burundi, Eritrea, Mali, and Sudan. That's who we voted with. Oh, and North Korea, don't forget. We're so fucking cooked, y'all.
All right, here we go. Watching the White House at this hour. Moments from now,
missing a few.
Now, President Donald Trump will welcome French President Emmanuel Macron to talk all week. Last week, that pitted Trump against Ukraine's leader. In fact, at one point, Mr. Trump called Mr. Zelensky a dictator.
Mirrors what you'd expect.
Away from that language.
Well, it's an unusual day when
Trump will talk with Xi. Xi might be coming to America soon. We'll get to that when we get to like the rest of Europe.
The United States language for a resolution really mirrors what you'd expect to come more out of the Kremlin. The United States has typically aligned itself with other countries at the United Nations who've condemned illegal invasions of other countries. Instead, what we have today is a very vanilla resolution that really just says that the United States is mourning the tragic loss of life throughout the Russian Federation-Ukraine conflict. And this UN resolution stands in stark contrast to efforts by other countries at the UN General Assembly to table and ultimately get passed.
Look, the UN is not, like, the UN doesn't have any power to do anything here. But that's not what matters. What matters is the fact that we sided with the enemy. Like, this is historic. We have become the enemy. Belarus, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Central Africa, Equatorial something, Eritrea, Haiti, Israel, Mali, the Marshall Islands, which are kind of ours, Russia, Palau, Niger, Nicaragua, Sudan, and the United States. That's the side that we're on. That's our team, guys. If we go to war, I will refuse. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you should not just follow orders. If they give you orders, don't follow them.
Earlier this week,
let's have a look.
2 police officers paid a visit to a grandmother, Helen Jones, simply for criticising Labour politicians on social media. In a post on a local Facebook group, Miss Jones, commenting on a Labour councillor involved in the WhatsApp scandal that saw Health Minister Andrew Gwynn resign in disgrace earlier this month. If you remember, he said, amongst other things, that he hoped one of his constituents would die.
God damn, Batgaz, you need to get your news from other sources. Extreme right wing with mixed credibility. Like, take this with a grain of salt then, all right? Like, we'll watch the video, but this is the news organization. GB News, extremely right-wing bias.
She said, this woman, Helen Jones, said of a councillor, a local councillor, involved in that WhatsApp group, let's hope he does the decent thing.
Okay, right now America is the worst, but like England is not great. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. UK woman arrested for criticism. The worst part is basically the precedent to justify US invading its neighbors. Yeah, no, you're right. You guys understand that, like, the US might invade some of Europe. That's being talked about. Like, currently. Western Europe, meaning England, meaning France, meaning Spain. All right, I have 6 hours ago from Sky News. No, there's nothing on this. I looked up, like, woman arrested for criticizing Labour, UK. There is no report from any news media. UK, woman arrested. Labour. Today. Okay, here we go. I found one from The Telegraph, which is also very right-wing. Grandmother spoken to by police after criticizing Labour politician online. Helen Jones left scared after 2 officers visited. And you have a fucking paywall. What about you? You also look like you're incredibly right-wing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, here we go. Oh, you found it as well. Thank you, Siodok. Or sorry, Sundry Clown Car. So, 54-year-old Helen Jones posted that Labour councillor David Sedigwick should resign after offensive comments were shared on a WhatsApp group about pensioners. An elderly constituent sent the letter, complaint about bin collections. Former Tory Minister Jacob Reeves told Mail Online it's extraordinary. Okay, first of all, like, there is no explanation of this. Why are the police here? She posted, her post was perfectly reasonable and rational. Whoopsie. Didn't mean to close that. I'm confused now. Found 2 articles, both. Yeah, this looks like it's just made up so far. Sedgwick, thank you. I bet you any money she didn't say he should resign. Is she not allowed to say that? Shadow Home Secretary said this is a total waste of police time. Okay, but what did the police actually show up to do? What was their, like, what was the justification for the police to go? It was extraordinary, the police even for a moment expressing mild criticism. Why? Like, what is, has there anything? Nothing. Obviously, they're not going to give it. What prompted this? How did the police even, like, get informed of this is the question. And there's nothing on it. So, like, I'm going to go ahead and say this is bullshit.
And resigns. I somehow think his ego won't allow it. In another post about the councillor, after posting screenshots from the Trigger Me Timbers WhatsApp group, Mrs. Jones from Heaton in Grace...
no, like, there's no way the police showed up at her house for that post alone. There would have had to be something more than that. The police go around for saying things a lot, to be fair, but what they said, I'd love to know. So wait, that actually... You live in the UK? Does this actually happen? Can the cops just fucking show up at your house because you said something that they didn't like? Like, we're not talking hate speech here. We're just talking regular, like, criticism. I'll judge when I see a post the police saw. You know what? Hold on. Listen to this dog shit while I look for it.
Wrote, not looking good for the councillor, to which another member added, councillor, will you be resigning? Very tame stuff. This is the moment police, thought police we can call them, came to the door to offer her advice.
I'm a police officer, Helen.
How? There's lots of people that have videoed police and some knocking about posts that they've made with their printouts of the post. That's fucking wild. If the MP said that someone would be dead soon, I can see how a commenter would respond in that kind. Yeah, like, again, her comment was perfectly rational and clear. Like, she did nothing wrong here. Although the fact that this is a thing that's happening in the UK, that's a big fucking problem, y'all. You can't be doing that. I mean, yeah, to be fair, in America, we just kind of break down your door, arrest you, and send you to El Salvador, so this is still better, but only marginally. Yeah, okay, I'm done. I can't listen to that, like, beep one more time. Let's talk about Europe. So first of all, America proposed a UN resolution.
All right, here we go, watching the White House at this hour.
Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Fuck it, whatever. Did you guys see this? This was on every monitor in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This was a hack, and it was excellent. I love it so much. Just say you're South African straight to the USA. True. This was on every monitor in this building. It's obviously like AI, but, and I'm sorry that you have to see this. This might scar you a little bit, but you need to do it. This is required. I want more of this. I want everywhere. 2 left feet, yeah, that's funny. I mean, like, it's AI bullshit, but this is how you resist under fascism. When you don't have any power, when you don't have any strength, when you can't go out and do anything because you're in danger, you inconvenience maliciously. We've been seeing this every day since Trump's been president. Good, I want more of it. I want it to continue. So we had some good news out of Europe. Where is... A lot of European countries are pretty much like fed up with America.
Germany's next leader is...
They're getting ready to, you know, go on without us, which is excellent. I was very, very afraid that, like, Europe would not stand up against us, but they will. At least for now. So let's hear, this is from Poland. This one is Germany, and this one's Turkey. I want to start with Turkey because Turkey's really important here and it's critical. Turkey has both a choice to make here. They have 2 different paths they can take. And one of them is objectively better for the country, and the other one is not. Now, Erdogan has a history of playing both sides with America and Russia. In fact, he's continuing to do so, offering to host possible Ukraine and Russia talks. Now, it seems like Turkey hasn't decided, because just the day before this, Erdogan met with Zelensky and declared that he was 100% behind Ukraine. We need Turkey on Europe's side if this is going to get to a war. And it is, because we're withdrawing our troops from Europe. Russia's planning to invade the Baltic states. You are not pronouncing it Türkiye? Well, I don't know. I say Türkiye when I speak Turkish. When I speak English, I just say Turkey. Like, the woke changed it officially.
Germany's next leader is signaling a shift toward independence from the U.S. The Conservative opposition party won the most votes for the country's national election, unseating the current chancellor's Social Democrats party. Meanwhile, the Alternative for Germany party won the most votes for a far-right party since World War II.
Yeah, we're now
Conservative leader Friedrich Merz says he hopes to put a coalition together by Easter. Let's bring in ABC's Inez de la Quatara along with ABC News national security and defense analyst Meg Mulroy for more. And as President Trump congratulated the Conservative Party on social media, saying, quote, much like the USA, the people of Germany got tired of the no common sense agenda, especially on energy and immigration, that has prevailed for so many years.
We talked about this yesterday when we covered the election. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. The far right got quite a lot more influence. The left actually got quite a lot more influence as well. And the CDU and the SPD are able to form a coalition, and it looks like they're going to be resisting the United States, the Axis powers rather, which is good. Has Erdogan had beef with Trump over exiled Turkish man? Yeah, he really, really hated, what was his name? Gulen. He claimed that Gulen was the leader of a terrorist organization that was trying to overthrow him in Turkey. Alice Vidal looking so happy for a woman who's going to lose her party position and most of her rights the day that her party gets in office, as is often the case.
But when it comes to the conservatives that came out on top here, their leader, Friedrich Merz, has been critical of Trump. So he is pro-Ukraine, pro-NATO. Recently, he's been critical of Trump's outreach to Russia. He wants Europe to...
Perfect. That's what we need from Germany. That's all I need to know. Thank y'all. Have a good day. Now, we got Poland. This is a base speech.
President. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I had many ideas for today's speech, but one by one I discarded them. Here's why. We live in turbulent times. After a short break from history that some of us enjoyed, it has again caught up with us all. In times like these, when the world seems out of joint, when the old seems to be dying, but the new cannot yet be born, what we need is a return to basics. To questions about what's right and what's wrong, what's true and what's false, what's actually happened and what's just a figment of propaganda. Almost exactly 3 years ago, on March 2nd, 2022, nations of the world gathered here in a special session, faced with a straight question.
Can I put this to 1.25? Would you guys mind? He just talks very slowly. If you guys don't want it, I'll change it back.
Whether to condemn, applaud, or ignore Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Their answer was clear. The measure condemning Vladimir Putin's actions was adopted by a vote of 141 in favor, with 35 abstentions, an unequivocal reaffirmation of our commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, independence, unity, and territorial integrity.
Based.
Only 5 countries voted against, among them Russia, Belarus, North Korea, and representatives of the now deposed Syrian regime.
Those are the people that we're friends with now, y'all.
According to Kremlin's propaganda, what started 3 years ago was a justified reaction to Western imperialism, allegedly threatening Russia's security.
The same argument that you will get from every Russian propagandist. Oh, NATO started the war. Oh, NATO expansion scared us. It's literally like, if they actually believe this, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If Putin actually believed that he was in danger because of NATO expansion, he doesn't, by the way, then all of this would have just been fulfilling that same prophecy. But that's not what they believe. Like, they just hate you.
In fact, we have seen a modern-day colonial war against Ukrainian people who want a better life and realize they can never achieve this goal by going back to their subjugation to Russia.
Oh, surprise,
That
surprise.
is what they are being punished for, an effort to free themselves from under the control of a former metropolis. Many countries represented here know the experience. Kremlin aggression is a manifestation of a failing empire's desperate struggle to restore its sphere of influence. We all knew it back then. Fast forward 3 years, and the same group is no longer so sure.
Putin was going after Nazis that did salutes. Russia, outside of the US, is the largest exporter of Nazi propaganda in the world.
What happened? Basic facts have not changed.
Good for you. You want
Russia
a cookie?
invaded a sovereign nation, violating its rights to existence and self-determination. During the course of war, Russian forces have killed thousands of people. They have indiscriminately bombed both military and civilian infrastructure, apartments, hospitals, schools, kindergartens.
We've seen so much Nazi shit just since Elon did that Sieg Heil. It's really scary. Like, these people are getting far too fucking comfortable, and someone needs to do something about that.
You've seen it all. War crimes have been committed. Thousands of Ukrainian children have been kidnapped and sent to Russia to strip them of their national identity.
Steve Bannon was complaining about Jews
Vladimir
on
Putin
TV yesterday.
does not only want to destroy Ukraine's presence, he wants to steal its future too.
He also wants to steal all of its resources. This is Radoslaw Sikorski representing Poland at the UN General Assembly.
We all knew it back then. We still actually know it. Opinions in this body began to shift not because facts have changed. They are changing because of self-interests.
It's always
Some of our member states now seem to believe that ending the war at any cost and restoring business as usual with Russia will be beneficial. As a representative of the country
I don't know, Zach,
neighboring both Russia and Ukraine, I can tell you it will not. By Russia's
literally intending to invade. They have 150,000 troops sitting in Belarus, and they're either going to go down into Ukraine, which would be really stupid because that's the part of Ukraine that's the most fortified, or they're going to go into countries like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, where luckily we just pulled our troops out of. And like, yes, Poland helped invade Iraq, but that does give them the moral high ground. America used Article 5 once we had 9/11, as in like a NATO member was attacked, all of the NATO countries have to help. So that's what they did. That they did their job. But when it comes to this, Donald Trump said last week, we might not defend a European country that gets attacked, which kind of just negates the entire point of NATO. So
relations with Moscow, you would be entrusting your security and economic stability to an autocrat and a war criminal in an international environment much more unstable than it was a decade ago.
I want Europe to form trade ties and relations amongst themselves, like form trade networks in Europe that stay in Europe.
Russian victory, may it never come,
Go up to the
would
Nordics,
not
that's fine.
create a more just global order. It wouldn't benefit countries dissatisfied with where things stand now.
No, you're right, but like that was the point. We're talking about like the fact that most of Europe is at least under the protection of NATO. The entire start of the war was because Russia claimed that we were expanding and it was a threat to them. They invaded Ukraine because Ukraine had submitted in a request to join NATO. However, that was never going to happen because even before Russia invaded Crimea, they did not fit the criteria. Ukraine cannot join NATO because you cannot join NATO if you have an ongoing border dispute with a foreign country. There was like the idea of NATO started this because they're expanding is ridiculous. And if they like, there are more NATO countries now than there was before the invasion. So like it did the exact opposite of what that point intends.
It wouldn't even bring about a more just and prosperous Russia. Suffice to say, there are now more political prisoners in Russia than there were in the 1980s.
Article 5? Because Article 5 is the whole point. If one of us gets invaded, everyone else gets invaded. Oh, sorry, everyone else like comes to help. I think that's a good thing. I've told you guys, by the way, you should make Article 5 group chats with your friends and family. Like, just make a group chat, name it something very clear, talk to your family members, your parents, whether, like, all you have to do is, it's any message in this chat, any singular message means come to my house right the fuck now and be ready. It means help me. It's like 911, but in your community and local. You can start with your friends and family. You can add people to it as you go on. Your mere existence can never be a justification for being invaded. True. Why doesn't NATO get rid of the rule for no, you can't join when there's a dispute? Because that would create war. If you join NATO while you have an ongoing dispute of borders with another country, that means NATO is going to get drawn into a war with that country. Also, Russia, China, and Iran have their own Article 5. True. Like, Russia was getting their ass kicked. Russia is currently getting their ass kicked. Their plan to win the war is with American support. There's a non-zero chance that America might put boots on the ground in Ukraine. I don't think it's high. I don't think it's likely, but it's not zero.
The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. There are many more casualties as well. Repercussions of an appeasement would also not be limited to Russia's immediate neighborhood. Kremlin's green men, well known from Donbass, are already present in African, Latin American, and Asian countries operating under different names. Let Putin win in Ukraine, and their activities will only intensify.
Yep.
Moscow's disruptive actions in Africa echo its actions in Europe, undermining stability, supporting illiberal regimes.
Telegraph is reporting that France is ready to provide nuclear shield for Europe. Based as fuck.
Discrediting the West. Thousands of mercenaries from the so-called Wagner Group, now charmingly renamed Afrika Korps, are employed by local...
Have a look at this. This is Alexander Dugin, a prominent Russian propagandist, close, like, ally to Putin, is in Putin's ear whispering, this guy. Look at what the things they're saying are. Look at how clear it is. This is at least somewhat part of the plan. Like, not everything written by these people, not everything said by these people, not him, obviously, I mean, the Russian propagandist, is true, but some of it is. There's kernels of truth in there, and there are intentions. Every accusation is a confession, but every bit of provided information is not just information. It's intention, and it's things that they are doing. They just openly tell you, while making it sound like they're still thinking about doing it, while they're already doing it.
Warlords and rewarded with access to precious metals and mineral mines, stripping Africa yet again of its wealth. If Ukraine is abandoned today, who will be next? Another country in Eastern Europe? Possibly, but possibly a country in the Middle East or an African state targeted to serve as a Russian military base, replacing Syria, where a regime propped by the Kremlin recently collapsed. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just heard another performance by the Russian ambassador consisting of lies, propaganda, and hypocrisy. He referred to Ukraine as a project. Ukraine is not a project. Ukraine is a country with a longer history than Russia. Ukraine is a member of this body for far longer than...
I hate the blood and soil argument. Oh, we were here first. We've been here for... Fuck you.
...the Russian Federation. Ukraine has a history, language, and identity and aspirations all of its own, with borders confirmed several times in treaties by the Russian Federation.
The Russians have ignored every treaty they've signed. Remember the Budapest Memorandum? I do. Literally, like, Russia signing, we will never use weapons on Ukraine. Lies. They're all lying. This guy was based. Poland is on top of it. They know what they're doing. Here's Germany, by the way, saying that we're not going to close the border. This is based.
Niemand von uns spricht über Grenzen. Niemand. Obwohl das im Wahlkampf streckenweise behauptet worden ist. Niemand von uns will die Grenzen schließen.
It's not a great retort, but someone trying to lord their supremacy. I don't know. What do you mean? And by the way, here we have Georgia. Georgia protesting in Tbilisi still, by the way. That's still going on. If you've been watching me, you've seen me cover the Tbilisi protest. That's still happening. Today, though, they're doing this in a city that I cannot pronounce. Day 89 of the protests, and they gathered to support Ukraine with music that I can't play. I mean, look, it's fucking snow. Could you imagine Americans out there doing, like, direct action while it's snowing like this? We're so fucking coddled, man. Here's more from Georgia. This is in Tbilisi. Oh yeah, the blood and soil argument means literally nothing. No, I mean, like, I think a lot of Americans in this context would be fine. If it was snowing like that other one, I don't see it really happening as much. But yeah, I mean, they're trying. You guys got to help yourselves. Sorry. America had a chance. You guys voted for the Hitler. So now save yourselves. We have Finland, Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden arriving in Kyiv to support Ukraine. Remember, America fought a war against a king for their freedom and liberty. And now we have a guy that is, who's the president, posting "Long live the king," has made it so the law is whatever he says it is and nothing else. I feel like you might have a constitutional obligation. Like, you know, the Second Amendment was build militias and bear arms to protect you from tyranny, from a possible monarch. We have thought about this already, so. The votes in Georgia's election? Yeah, like the Russians tried to fuck with the Georgian election. So here's Trudeau, and this is incredible.
Why I am announcing Canada will be providing 25 more LAV-3 infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. We will be delivering 2 armored combat support vehicles, which Ukrainian forces will be trained on shortly in Germany. Landing systems for F-16s were delivered just 2 months ago, and 4 F-16 flight simulators will be provided in the coming months. And that's on top of the millions of additional rounds of ammunition, components. That's why I am announcing.
That's a nice little aid package. I'm a big fan. SN, wonder how many Americans know what we fought for. I think they are more pissed because they lost the Civil War. Anyone who's mad at losing the Civil War is un-American. They're un-American. It's just true. We also have other leaders arriving in Kyiv to support Ukraine. Canada, Spain, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania all showed up. It's essentially all of Europe. Can you get like a picture in your mind for a second? What do you think it means when all of Europe and other countries in Europe are maybe showing up to have conversations about what you do next? Oh, by the way, the most base thing from Canada. They're using 5 billion USD of Russian frozen assets to fund this aid package. It's so hard to believe so much of this is true. I know it's hard to believe, but like you can see it with your face, with your eyes. We are the bad guys. Yeah, we're the Hitler country. We have literally, I showed this yesterday. We have gas chambers being built, man. This is Fox News for Arizona. The bill passes. Inmates who committed crimes for 2392 can choose between a firing squad or the gas chamber. We had this. I also showed this yesterday. Like, we are the Hitler country. Does this not give you a vibe? Oh, sorry. Did you guys not see this? The gas chambers and the Hitler shit. Although using the Russian assets may not be allowed. Who gives a shit? There is no law anymore, Pezzy. There is none. Who cares? All right. Back to what's going on. Arizona needs a way to kill people with no mess, basically, yeah. Do they forget what happened to Caesar in the end? Yes. Remember before the election, there was a bunch of people saying party like it's 1929?
Today marks 3 years since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The solidarity rally was held over the weekend at Nathan Phillips Square for those who stand united with Ukraine.
Ukraine must win. Putin must be defeated. And Canada will stand with Ukraine until that happens.
Our hearts and our thoughts are with the people of Ukraine as the battle for freedom and democracy enters the 3rd year.
Didn't he fiddle while he burned the cake? I have no idea.
I feel the passion.
I am the type of autistic who does not give a fuck about Rome, so I don't know shit.
And I feel the commitment of all of you here.
Mayor Olivia Chow and
Funny enough, I'm the type of autist that got the Nazi hyperfixation, but not the way all of the other ones do. Like, I'm hyperfixated on fighting the Nazis, whereas most of the autistic Nazis are just like hyperfixated on Nazism. It's very funny.
Freeland were among the hundreds of people in attendance.
Nukes or NATO,
Similar events took place in more than 500 cities worldwide.
I think Trump is in a...
Wait, did you see that? The back of the Nukes or NATO sign.
Similar events took place in more than 500 cities worldwide.
It's Trump and Putin on a horse kissing with the shirtless Putin picture. I'm a fan. Whoever made that sign, 10 out of 10 for you.
I think Trump is in a position right now to...
What do you mean
really
no effect pre-breakfast banana? They're openly doing the Nazi shit. No one gives a shit.
Support Ukraine and continue the work that the U.S. has been doing. Unfortunately, or, you know, we continue to hope that Ukraine is going to be a part of those talks. We really are striving for the idea that nothing will be discussed or put forward without Ukraine at the table. And ultimately, we are really calling on Trump to do that. Whether that'll happen or not is unclear. But he really has a chance to be on the right side of history at this point.
Putin doesn't love shit. That's just an op. Like it's created to produce this effect, this belief in, like, Putin is a guy who respects culture and he's a return to tradition type, and you know, like that's what they want to frame him as.
Thank you very much.
So, what was agreed to at the EU Council, the 16th package of sanctions against Russia to mark the 3rd anniversary of the invasion. The new restrictions will apply to 83 individuals and entities that support Russian military-industrial complex, foreign companies that help Moscow, 74 vessels originating from third countries, bringing the total number of sanctioned vessels to 153. The EU imposes for the first time a ban on transactions with credit and financial institutions based outside of Russia that use the Central Bank of Russia's system for transfer of financial messages. A ban on specialized financial messaging services imposed on 13 regional banks. 53 new companies will be subject to stricter export restrictions. I truly wonder what the sentiments of the civilian population are like in Russia. They all think that the war is excellent and that Putin is the God Emperor. They're brainwashed to shit. I remember one of Trump's kids said that they get all the money they need from Russia. They've been hitting us over the head with Trump being Russian asset all the time. I mean, again, his name is Krasnov. I didn't believe the Krasnov thing until I saw the amount of fucking denial from Russian bots and Russian agents, like Kryushev. He is Krasnov.
Much, dear.
Wait, we're over here. Restrictions on imposing exports of goods that contribute to Russia's industrial potential. It's good. Their transit through Russia and restrictions on imports of primary aluminum. Bans 8 Russian media outlets. EU Daily. Cool. Fuck these people. The EU prohibits any transaction with certain ports. These are strong sanctions. Hit them. I mean, look, the sanctions don't really do all that much, but they do hurt. Like, Russia's already transitioned into a full-on war economy, and the average Russian living outside of Moscow or St. Petersburg lives in conditions that are probably more similar to, I don't know, like medieval Europe. So, like, it doesn't really matter. At this point, all of MSNBC's Russiagate stuff was probably way underblown, not overblown. Yeah, no, it absolutely was. I'm telling you, everything that we thought, the Russiagate stuff, the Steele document that they're saying is fake, it's all real. The only reason that we didn't find a connection between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in 2016 with the Russiagate investigation was because of one FBI agent whose job it was, and he declared that there was no evidence. That FBI agent was arrested last year for being a Russian agent. So this is the president of the European Union. I want to hear what she has to say.
Is the day
Sorry, I didn't
Ukraine.
realize that.
The 24th of February 2022 is a day that will live forever in infamy. And today we join you in commemoration of the fallen hero of Ukraine and those who are still fighting at the front line, as we have just heard. A peaceful nation was invaded with no reason except Putin's imperial obsession. But we believe in
Tenet Media, that was a big deal. I mean, obviously, Ukraine is the biggest enemy.
Free and a sovereign Ukraine on the path towards the European Union.
This is like fucking Hydra from like a Marvel movie. It was like the American government was just Russia all along on the inside, and now they're just coming out like, okay, we're all Russian now, and we're gonna continue this way. I swear a lot of Americans who voted for him wouldn't even care. No, a lot of Republicans love Russia. Like, Tucker Carlson made Russia popular among MAGA.
And we join you in shaping this future together. The war in Ukraine remains the most central and consequential crisis for Europe's future. Putin is trying harder than ever to win the war on the ground. His goal remains Ukraine's capitulation. And we know what could happen next, because it has already happened before. It is not only the destiny of Ukraine that is at stake, it is Europe's destiny that is at stake.
Entirely true.
So our first priority remains to empower Ukraine's resistance. And so far, the European Union and the member states have supported Ukraine to the tune of 135 billion euros. That is more than anybody else. Thanks to our Ukraine facility and the G7 loan, we have closed Ukraine's budgetary gap for the entire year.
There were a couple stories about U.S. citizens moving to Russia because they thought the USA was too woke. Yeah, that actually does happen. MAGA and the Repugs do what he says. They have no clue or no desire or no other. Like, they're all essentially bots. They are programmed to act in a certain way.
2025. Now, in parallel, we must speed up the immediate delivery of weapons and ammunition, and this will be at the heart of our work in the coming weeks.
This is really good to hear.
Today, I'm here with the whole College of Commissioners of the European Commission to mark our wholeheartedly support for Ukraine.
Okay, but what about
a free
America?
and sovereign Ukraine is not only in the European interest, but it is in the interest of the whole world. Because the autocrats around the world are watching very carefully whether there's any impunity if you violate international borders or invade your neighbor, or if there is true deterrence. This is not only paramount for Europe, it is also important for Asia, for Africa, and for both sides of the Atlantic.
She's underselling this. This is, right now, a scenario that could very easily lead to a world war. It doesn't necessarily have to. It might not. But the scenario that we find ourselves in, the situation, the context, the material conditions everywhere around us points that there is a large chance of a world war being sparked from this. So we have to keep that in mind and treat that seriously. An issue that a lot of us tend to have, including myself, I think, is that certain words and ideas are so overused, like World War III. Everyone calls everything World War III. So then that word loses its punch. It loses its meaning. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as serious. And so I need you to actually understand, this could do that. This could, actually. The world has pushed Germany, of all countries, to build up an arsenal. Well, I mean, Germany and Turkey are the two countries that need to side with Europe. Otherwise, we're fucked. Turkey, again, largest military in NATO after America. America is basically an enemy of NATO now, meaning that Turkey is the largest military in NATO. What Turkey does is going to decide a lot. But also, Germany is the only country that can produce the arms in mass right now. Like, other countries can build up structure and methods for it, but Germany can just do some now. They have desensitized many about what war is. More like World War I Part 3. Kinda, yeah, actually, Ghost Pepper. This is the, World War I scenario.
An investment in Ukraine's sovereignty is an investment in the prevention of future wars. And there's more in for Europe and the world. Ukraine has a highly innovative and thriving...
Guys, I've seen Starmer talk about that, and he's talking about sending British troops to Ukraine to stay on the back lines and not do anything, and I'm kind of mad about it. But, I mean, it's still based.
Defense industry. This should never
I want them to be deployed already.
The arsenals of an aggressive power, but it should strengthen the resilience of a European Union with Ukraine as its member that is taking on more responsibility for its own security. Ukraine has a lively startup scene with a lot of experience in the rising sectors like artificial intelligence and drones.
Okay, I don't care from there on. The image I'm trying to paint here is that, at least at this moment in time, Europe is kind of done with our shit.
Ukraine.
I want to see America.
And we will accelerate investment in Ukraine's renewable energy. All these efforts will result in greater energy security for both the European Union and Ukraine. Finally, no one wants more peace than the Ukrainian people. But they want a just and a lasting peace. And this only comes through strength. And this is why we strengthen your economy. This is why we increase the resilience of your energy sector. This is why we will continue training and equipping your troops. Think of the importance of artillery ammunition.
I think right now the focus should be the troops. I know, the energy sector is important, but Russia keeps attacking energy infrastructure. Russia keeps bombing power plants, nuclear power plants. You don't need to be building energy in Ukraine. You need to be supporting their war effort. Go send like more funds, more guns, more weapons. Send your goddamn troops, man. Trump has made America irrelevant. Only for now, Batgaz. You just wait till how relevant we're going to be. This is the setup stage. We've backed out so we can get ready. America's the Hitler country and we're coming for you. We're going to take over Europe. At least Western Europe. America will own England in the span of the next 5 years. If you guys don't do anything.
For example, this is why we have to provide security guarantees backed by the United States. This is why today we are adopting the 16th package by the United States. Artillery ammunition, for example. This is why we have to provide security guarantees backed by the United States. This is why today we are adopting the 16th package of sanctions.
That's not good.
We will increase punitive sanctions against Russia until they demonstrate true willingness to achieve a lasting peace agreement.
I shouldn't have expected much more from liberals. Thank you, pre-breakfast bananas. So we're going to watch Macron talk now, but before we do, I want to show you the 2 instances in which they had a handshake, and Macron, being the Sigma that he is, fucks with Trump while doing it.
And the joint news conference wraps up there with President Trump and the French President Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah, he did not look happy there. Yikes, they're still trying to negotiate with terrorists. Seems like it. Macron is a G.
He's a smart customer.
You see that? Like he's laughing. He doesn't like him, but he's pulling his arm over. It's a power play. He's playing Trump's game. Jungler Wind. Ireland is sending part of its own air defense system to Ukraine. It'll leave a gap in our own defense, but for now they need it more than us. Sounds like a good idea. I mean, like Ireland's not high up on the risk list, so not bad. Now, let's watch the speech. Is it? Okay, we have Trump talking first. Whatever. Let's listen to the president.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Great honor to be here with my friend. I'm delighted to welcome President Macron back to the White House. We've been together quite often, but not that often in the White House.
Just before, this happened right before the conference.
President called Zelensky a dictator. Would you use the same words regarding Putin?
I don't use those words lightly. I think that we're going to see how it all works out. Let's see what happens. I think we have a chance of a really good settlement between various countries.
Leftist Leo, you're fast.
You're talking about Europe, and you're talking about Ukraine as part of that whole situation. The other side has a lot of support also. So let's see how it all works out. It might work out. Look, you can never make up lives. The one thing you can make up the money, but you can't make up the lives.
The pre-speech.
A lot of lives lost. I think probably a lot more lives than people are talking about. It's been a
best mods. Here we have Trump scowling while Macron talks about how Russia is the aggressor.
Than the other. You can take the proceeds from it. How can you not?
I don't think that tape means any difference, Camel. I think that Russia could release that today, and tomorrow MAGA would have T-shirts of like Trump pissing on them, and they would buy it.
Because it's very different. You keep the assets, you take the proceeds because they are paralyzed in a certain way. You take the proceeds during the wartime, but you keep the assets, and it's part of the negotiation at the end of the war. Because, I mean, this war costed all of us a lot of money. And this is the responsibility of Russia, because the aggressor is Russia.
Oh no, but like I'm saying, like that would be the case, seriously. If there was a secret P-tape that was blackmail, that was released, MAGA would just make T-shirts about it.
So at the end of the day, this frozen asset should be part of the negotiation. All in all.
Will France support the U.S. being compensated?
I support the idea to have Ukraine first being compensated because they are the ones to have lose a lot of their fellow citizens and being destroyed by this attack. Second, all of those who paid for could be compensated, but not by Ukraine.
Trump is literally always irritated. Look at him, he's irritated right now.
Want to aggress.
Again,
he just got corrected by Macron. He said a lie, Macron shut him up and corrected him.
Just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No.
Different than
Corrected him again after that.
Loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money.
Macron is killing it here.
230 billion.
Again.
This is how you have to deal with these people.
It looks like we're getting very close. The deal's being worked on, and we're, I think, getting very close to getting an agreement where...
We're not getting an agreement. All right. Now let's watch the actual conversation.
Honored.
Because, yes, he is out of his depth.
First Lady of France, not so long ago. There was a beautiful evening, and we will not soon forget it. It was a beautiful day and evening, and many fond memories. I also want to thank Emmanuel for hosting me in Paris last December after a historic election win to witness the reopening of the spectacular Notre Dame Cathedral, where you did an outstanding job in bringing it back together. That was a sad day watching that burn. And 5 years later, you had it up, and it was, they say, more beautiful than it was before. So I think that's a great achievement. That was not easy. France is America's oldest ally. Our cherished partnership has been a force for freedom, prosperity, and peace from the very beginning. We're now working on some very interesting developments. One in particular is, you know, the war between Russia and Ukraine. And the American...
He needs a manual. He needs a brain. This guy's head is soup. All he has in there is the YMCA.
Revolution, French support helped us to seize our destiny as an independent nation. In the First and Second World Wars, our citizens shed blood together on the battlefields of Europe. And I'll never forget joining President Macron 6 years ago on the 75th anniversary of D-Day. That was some day.
This is important. This is interesting developments.
End another battle, a really horrible one, a war.
France is like the unofficial leader of the EU, so what happens in this meeting is actually a really important development. Probably told them the Statue of Liberty is a robot and they can activate it at any time. I hope that's true.
We haven't seen since the Second World War.
I want kaijus and fucking mechs
European soil,
in New York.
The deadliest and most destructive conflict that one can imagine. I've seen the pictures, I've seen the satellite photos and lots of other photos, and it's a horrible thing that's happening. Thousands of people are dying a week. This very day is the...
Remember, in America, about 3,000 people are being arrested by ICE per day.
Third anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, which would never have happened if I was president. That was not going to happen.
Week.
The horrors of this gruesome and bloody war can scarcely be overestimated. Hundreds of thousands of people, Russians and Ukrainians in particular, have needlessly died. An entire generation of Ukrainians and Russian men has been decimated. 1,000-year-old cities have been turned into rubble. Those beautiful spires that you used to see there, they were most beautiful in the world, they say, are lying in heaps of rubble, blasted to smithereens. It's time to end this bloodletting and restore peace, and I think we're going to do it. We've had some great conversations, including with Russia. Since my return to the White House, we've made more progress toward that goal in 1 month than occurred in the past 3 years. And I've spoken with...
I will give him that. Donald Trump has kept a lot of his campaign promises. It's just they're horrible, and even his voters don't like them. He has done more in the last month than, like, probably any president in history, but it's also dismantling the government and turning it into a fascist state. He is insecure. He's scared. Elon has made him a puppy.
Both President Putin and President Zelensky, and again, a lot of good things toward peace are happening, moving it, I think, pretty quickly.
His campaign promises were all bad. Actually, yeah, no, you know what? He did also say no tax on tips, so he didn't do that one. He only did the bad things.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff conducted successful talks in Saudi Arabia with the delegation from Russia, and I'd like to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the King and Mohammed, great people. They're really working hard to get this done. Our focus is on
don't worry, we'll get to the budget,
Leftist Leo, and ultimately a permanent peace. My meeting with President Macron today was another important step forward in that sphere, because he's been very much involved right from the beginning in trying to get it over with, and we're going to get it done. I believe that Emmanuel agrees with me on many of the most important issues, chief among them.
Oh, this is on. I was like, Donald Trump sounds way faster than he normally does.
It may be the only time, you know. That's a very interesting and horrible situation, and that could evolve into a third world war. We're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, sorry, we're not watching Trump on 1.25. You guys got to get used to the Führer talking normally.
Should have never started, but it did. And what a mess. What a horrible, bloody mess. I'm also pleased that President Macron agrees that the cost and burden of securing the peace must be borne by the nations of Europe, not alone by the United States.
Exactly, Scars. That was the issue.
Take that central role in assuring long-term security of Ukraine, which they want to do. And that's not a very big step. A big step is what's going to happen over the next few weeks. The United States has put up far
Hey,
more...
long leg Homo sapien, do you use your public speaking skills to better your community? Have you run for office? Have you started an organization? Maybe you should start a community garden, something like that. You know, if you have public speaking skills, you should be using them.
Paid for.
I keep reminding people that 90 million people didn't vote. That's to Trump's 77 million. Yeah, there is no mandate. He won by like 1.5%. Yay.
Ukraine than any other nation. Hundreds of billions of dollars. We've spent more than 300 billion, and Europe has spent about 100.
I wasn't coming at you, by the way. I was
billion,
like,
that's a big difference, and at some point we should equalize. But hopefully we won't have to worry about that. We have other things happening that maybe take that out of the realm of necessity. And while we've given vast amounts of military aid and money in form of grants, much of Europe's contribution has been economic relief structured as loans for which they'll be repaid. Like the Europeans, I believe that taxpayers in the United States also deserve to recoup the...
Taste the anger that this old man is talking slowly, constantly going off topic and trying to score points on his minor enemies. Feel the anger and let it fuel you as you imagine a better world. Thank you, Sundry Clown Car. Actually, better said than I could have said that. That is the point of watching this right now. You have to understand that this man is the fucking Führer, and you have to be mad about it.
Colossal amounts of money that we've sent.
And you're right, SN. The only thing that we produce is grift and, like, media. That's it. And most of the media is also grift anyway.
Administration never even thought of that. They didn't think of a lot of things, like why did they let it start in the first place? That is why...
Oh, yes, blaming Ukraine to start it again.
You must have an agreement with Ukraine on...
As usual.
...critical minerals and rare earths and various other things as security. And I think that that's happening. I think we've made a lot of progress. I had a report just given to me.
Don't worry, he won't have a script when he's talking to Macron.
We've made Emmanuel a great deal of progress toward getting that. I've been elected by the American people to restore common sense to Washington and indeed to the world.
All right, you know what?
And I believe strongly that
I feel like we can skip
it's
to
in
like
the best interest,
here.
different time. But
we
now,
export crypto rug pull, true.
Now we have it and we're fixing it. We'll fix it all up. We'll get it done.
What are we fixing?
Murderers and drug dealers, gangs. We didn't have any of that. It's a different time, but now we have it and we're fixing it. We'll fix it all up.
We never had drug dealers or gangs in America. Ever. That never happened.
We made a great deal of progress. People are saying it was the best month for a president in our country's history. I hope
he has the lowest approval rating for any first month of a presidency in history. I'm pretty sure his approval rating is what, like, is it gone below 50? Trump approval rating 44%. His approval rating is 44%, and it's the first month.
That's right, but I feel it's right. We've done a lot of things in a very short period of time, 4 weeks. As I've said before,
just
it's
wait
my
until
hope
your
that my greatest
food stamps
legacy,
and your
however, will
Medicaid
be as a
disappear.
peacemaker and a unifier. I want to bring peace, not war. I thank President Macron for joining us today in this urgent...
I, a man who lived in New York in the 70s, am shocked at all these drugs and gangs. Yeah, literally, we've never had them before. It is the funniest thing to say. Sundry Clown Car, you're on it today. 10 out of 10.
Work we're doing. We have some wonderful
also,
people
he had
up front
rapists in there, and he's also a rapist, so.
right here that have worked so hard. Steve Witkoff, thank you very much. And Michael Waltz, thank you. Scott, thank you very much. And
I just want to show you this right before they talk, because I just remembered that I have this. This is Jeffrey Epstein talking about what this is during the first Trump administration. Look at how much information about what's going on inside this guy had.
I think we have a snippet from one of the conversations that I recorded with Epstein, and I think this was in a restaurant in 2017.
His people fight each other.
Right.
And then have outsiders. He sort of poisons the well outside. He will tell 10 people Bannon's a scumbag, and Priest is not doing a good job, and Kelly has a big mouth. And what do you think? Jamie Dimon says that you're a problem, and I shouldn't keep you.
There was absolute collusion with Jeffrey Epstein during the first administration, to the point where he knew, like, intimate data about like what the president was thinking about this person, that person, what was going to happen to this person, what this person's job was going to look like. So if they were doing this with Epstein back last time,
and I spoke to Carl Icahn.
And Trump is a Russian asset.
Spokesperson. So Kelly, even though I hired Kellyanne's husband, Kellyanne is just too much of a wild card. And then he tells Bannon, you know, I really want to keep you, but Kellyanne hates you.
Schwarzberg, that's kind of not incorrect at all, actually. When you consider how dirt Trump has laying around, it's like statistically impossible for him to not be a puppet. The thing is, Donald Trump doesn't get embarrassed. You can't embarrass him with showing people other bad things that he's done. You can only embarrass him by making him look weak. So all of that, like, dirt that he has laying around means nothing. It's just like the P-tape. What's up, Headless Chicken? It's good to see you.
JD, thank you. They've really done a job. They worked very hard. It's a real passion to get this war ended. And I'd like to now we invite Emmanuel to say a few words, and then we'll take questions. And again, Emmanuel, it's a great honor to have you with us at the White House. Thank you very much, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, dear Donald. Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, je vais dire quelques...
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be saying a few words in French.
Oh God, we have to listen to French now? I regret this choice.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, dear Donald, for your hospitality and for this visit. As you mentioned, we have had the opportunity to meet over the past few years. Since your first term, we've been able to discuss matters in Paris and also here at the White House, and it has always been a great joy to do that, and I would like to commend you. And thank you, Mr. President, for extending this friendship to France and taking part in the ceremony at Notre Dame that you mentioned.
Okay, hold on. What the fuck is happening? Did we just start a civil war? Here is Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw. What the fuck is happening? Again, this is a Republican that's about to say this.
Have you ever met Tucker?
We've talked a lot.
If I ever meet him, I'll fucking kill him, is what Congressman Dan Crenshaw just said about Tucker Carlson. We're heating up here, guys. Like, genuinely, this just got posted like half an hour ago. So I don't know what that's doing. I don't know what comes from this, but that's a congressman saying he would fucking kill Tucker Carlson, like, openly. Those are the words that he used. So no, I don't know. He was just asked. I have no idea what the context for that is, but I mean, I want them to fight each other. They're only pissed at Tucker for giving away the game, not that they disagree. What did he do? Giving away the game. Let them fight. Yeah, I want them to fight each other.
This friendship to France and taking part in the...
Sorry. I cannot see this. They started attacking our Russia. We will give you a response, but that you will remember Russia will never lose. If we have to die, we will die. Russia, okay. Enjoy being in Russia. We're also Russia now. Joe Biden was not a good president. His domestic policies were excellent, though. Domestically, he was great for labor unions. He was great for, like, elderly people. We're seeing people whose insulin prices are going up from $6 to $80 just because Donald Trump undid an executive order of Biden's. Now, again, Biden was not a good president, but he did do good domestically for labor unions. It's kind of it.
Mr. President, for extending this friendship to France and taking part in the ceremony at Notre Dame that you mentioned before. It was a great honor for the French people to reopen the cathedral to the rest of the world, and your presence was a testament to that friendship. As the President said, this friendship dates back to the Revolutionary War, since the beginning of the United States, and whenever we've needed to, we've been able to come together and be on the right side. We've been able to be
man, Clinton was a shit president and he was an Epstein friend. Please do not compliment Clinton. The only good thing Bill Clinton did was bomb Serbia. And he only did that because his wife, who he wasn't talking, like, who was not talking to him for a full year. This was after he cheated on Hillary with Monica Lewinsky. She was not speaking to him, and she only spoke to him again, like she broke her silence by asking him to bomb Syria. And it was based. No, it's not Syria, Serbia, rather.
To defend peace and sovereignty, namely in the two world wars that marked the 20th century. From Lafayette to Pershing and to the many Americans who landed on Omaha Beach.
The CHIPS Act was overturned. If the CHIPS Act was... wait, was that an EO or was that, like, signed in by Congress? Because if it's signed in by Congress, it just means it's dead, not overturned.
And we spoke earlier before, and you mentioned
Free breakfast banana. There's a genocide happening now. The genocide in Gaza is still happening. There's a genocide happening in America. And you guys are watching it happen as well. In America.
And we spoke earlier before, and you mentioned that one of those gentlemen was able to visit you
here. If it's EO, then it's gone. The CHIPS Act, if it's an EO. Because the first EO that he signed was undoing every EO that Biden put in place. That was the first EO. So if it's an EO, the CHIPS Act is gone.
One of the veterans. This is part of history, which puts us in the world that we are in today. And as the president just said, there are many challenges in this world.
Okay, good.
And over the past few days, we have one main objective, which is the geopolitical situation.
Okay. If it was Congress, then it's good. If it's Congress, it'll probably lose a bunch of funding, I would imagine, but they getting rid of it's a bit harder.
Mr. President, I really wish to thank you for
Why is he glazing
making
so
changes
much?
to your schedule to meet with us so quickly. I think we've made very substantive steps forward during our discussions, and this is a major step in what we're experiencing today. We had a video conference with all of the G7 leaders, which was an opportunity for us to discuss this matter 3 days after.
Not assent, they will, because they want everything privatized and they want to, like, these people are acceleration. They want the world to end. You know what? After this, we'll watch a video on courtesy, Arvin. I think you guys need to, like, understand this mentality.
The Russian war in Ukraine
He's
and to
glazing
express
Trump right now,
our
yeah.
support for President Zelensky.
This is like getting him ready for things he's not going to like. It's how you tell a child bad news. You tell them a bunch of nice things first so they're in a good mood.
To the Ukrainian people, but also to speak and share about our desire for a lasting peace. This is what we have spoken about very forcibly over the past few weeks. We thought that this war was only going to last a few weeks when it broke out in 2022. We admire greatly the courage of the Ukrainian people. And Mr. President, I wish to thank you for this. You mentioned that there are responsibilities on Europe's side, and indeed, we have invested $128 billion in aid to Ukraine and the Ukrainians. Ukraine has been able to hold the front of our collective security. It's fought over these past few years for its independence and for its...
Okay, thank you, Sundry Clown Car. Well, I mean, Crenshaw was still correct. Yeah, I didn't think it came from nowhere. I just didn't know where it came from, but thank you for the source.
Sovereignty, but also for our collective security, because I think that no one in this room wants to live in a world where it's the law of the strongest and international borders can be violated from one day to the next by anyone. Over the past few hours, and as you mentioned this, Mr. President, we've been able to see a few things take shape. First of all, allow me to commend you on your decision to work with President Zelensky and to conclude this agreement that's so important for the U.S. and Ukraine on rare earths,
we're probably
critical
getting
minerals,
into it now.
but also having substantive conversations with President Zelensky during this key phase of achieving this deal, which is a major commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, and I think that's very commendable. We also have
I love how he's pretending.
shared...
He's pretending that Donald Trump still gives a fuck about Ukraine because, like, he wants to set the tone of this is the rational version of going about this. This is what we've been doing for years. This is what all of Europe says. This is what America said 2 months ago. So all of the glazing is subtle, but it is there are kind of digs in there while he's also stroking the ego, but all of this is not meant for Trump. This show that he's putting on is meant for us so that we look at this and we remember, like, oh right, he's the sane one.
Desire to build peace.
Wait, who gave support for minerals? Did we?
Of achieving conversations with President Zelensky during this key phase of achieving this deal, which is a major commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty, and I think that's very commendable. We also
if we got the mineral deal, it's because, like, Musk is threatening Zelensky by saying he'll turn off Starlink unless we get the $500 billion of minerals, which is much more than we didn't pay any money to them anyway. Like, this is stealing, but Elon Musk is threatening to shut off Starlink if they don't do that. Here we go. Ukraine was warned it faced imminent shutdown of Elon Musk's vital Starlink satellite internet system unless it signed the extortion deal on rare earth minerals, Reuters reports. Then we have Midas Touch. Let me get this straight. The US and Elon are now extorting Ukraine and threatening to turn off their Starlink internet access unless they give their critical rare earth minerals to the US. Staggering levels of corruption. This is just a mob thing. What? Who's the pedophile? Let me pull that back up. Oh yeah, that is a pedophile. Absolutely. Elon should have been prosecuted under Biden when he did that the first time. Elon should be in prison forever. Like, in the hole. Like, straight up, he should just be in the hole. We are stealing. We're robbing them. But, like, again, this is like mob shit. This isn't even like government stuff. This is, I'm in New York. I'm Tony Soprano. Hey, you haven't paid your protection money for a little bit. I'm gonna need $500 billion of those rare earth minerals you got there. I'm like, you know, you got such nice internet during this war. It would be a shame if something bad happened to it. It's literally that.
Have a shared desire to build peace. We will have this responsibility. This is 10 years after the war started in Crimea, and then we saw the events in the Donbas region and along the northern part of the country. We want to save lives. We want to bring prisoners back and
Russia will just tell them it's not, and he'll believe it.
Back families and children, because there's also humanitarian tragedy affecting the Ukrainian people. We had lengthy discussions with the president, and we spoke about our desire to bring an end to conflicts, to have a truce that is measurable, verifiable, and that enables negotiation of a lasting peace.
You guys don't know how bad this is, because after this speech, like, you're really going to start to see.
Well, we will discuss not only Ukraine's reconstruction, its territories, but also the security guarantees, meaning maintaining peace over the long term. As I said to the president, we've experienced peace accords that were only ceasefires without ensuring security guarantees, Minsk 1 and 2. And we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. And I know that the president has expressed the desire to be a player for peace in the region. I've spoken with some
God, reading through liberal like bullshit is effort. They have so much. They yap so. I'm a professional yapper, and they yap more than me.
30 European leaders and allies in recent days. We want to bring together these allies, and share the same vision.
Oh, nothing's going into his brain. He has notes that he has to like go off of.
This peace must not mean a surrender of Ukraine. It must not mean a ceasefire without guarantees. This peace must allow for Ukrainian sovereignty and allow Ukraine to negotiate with other stakeholders regarding the issues it affects. But it is also a country in which we need to shoulder our responsibilities so that we ensure security and stability for Ukraine and for the entire region.
You know, he was still talking about Joe Biden yesterday. He did a speech where he was asking people if we should call him Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe. That's all this man has. Just like, give him a rocking chair and a blanket and like the TV with old Joe Biden clips and just leave him there. He'll be fine.
Region. And for us Europeans, this is an existential issue. We also spoke about these issues at length with the president. We've worked with President Zelensky and gotten to some of the details of the various phases of the negotiation. And we've also been able to speak about some of this work with our British partners to talk about deployments of peace forces on Ukraine.
Leftist Leo, you can't run for president until you're, I believe, 30. So, like, that tracks.
Soil, which are part of these security guarantees. Other countries are ready to join in this effort. Solidarity and support from the U.S. will be crucial to this, and I thank you, Mr. President, for beginning to work with us on this issue and the agreement that you are preparing to sign with Ukraine and with all of these discussions we've had are very solid guarantees that we are understood and that we have the same wish, peace as soon as possible, lasting, solid peace for everyone.
Look, like, that's Macron with his rationality. This is what's happening behind the scenes here. So all HHS employees just received this email. This is seconds ago. To them that they no longer have to comply with Elon Musk's 5 bullet point email, but if they do, they should assume that what they write will be read by malign foreign actors. Assume what you write will be read by malign foreign actors and tailor your responses accordingly. This is supposed to be classified. Like, these emails are supposed to be internal, not external. You're like, imagine working for the government and getting an email saying, oh yeah, by the way, if you send an email, malign foreign actors might be watching it. That's real, you know?
And the renewal of an international situation where we are all able to shoulder our responsibilities, Europeans shouldering their responsibilities alongside their American allies who will shoulder their own responsibilities. I also wanted to be very clear, Mr. President, about Europe's commitment. We have committed to building a lasting peace. As Europeans, we have committed to being stakeholders in
I used to work in very high security clearance type stuff. An email like that would make me pack my shit up and take a week off before touching any more IT systems. We used to have, like, the reason that you're seeing this is because they fucked up the system. That was, like, we had leaks the other day that were coming out of government emails. Elon Musk, it was in the news, you know, like, he sent this email out to everybody and it was unencrypted. Other people were sending in shit. Like, it was funny. We were fucking around with it, but they've broken everything, man. I just think it's funny that the IRS uses fucking Microsoft Teams. I mean, I guess.
In these security guarantees. And we are also well aware that Europeans need to do more.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting, but the breaking news. Again, 3 minutes ago, CIA scrambles after White House email on compromises undercover officers' names. 3 minutes ago this came out. The sensation that all the systems are compromised is extremely unsettling. Yeah. Yeah. Like, bad enough that we're sending out emails that are supposed to have, like, encryption, undercover officers' names just going. It's all popping off. It's here, guys. We're here. Like, it's not coming anymore. We're already here. Even the mistakes are intentional. Yeah.
For security in Europe, for defense in Europe,
is war.
and to more fairly share the security burden that Europe.
All right, look, Macron, you're a G. I know you got a lot of good stuff to say, but like shit's getting serious, and might have to just leave you there. Look, we get it, right? That we're on the Russian side. All of Europe is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's good. I really like these, by the way. They want to destroy trust in the U.S. government and everything they're doing to end that. Yeah, literally. Like, that's the whole point.
CBS News has learned that the Department of Defense would also be laying off 5,400 probationary workers this week. This is all part of what we've been talking about.
We're firing people from the Pentagon, about 8% of the Pentagon workforce.
All day long, the Trump administration's efforts to shrink the federal workforce.
No, see, you're wrong, Schwarzborg. Elon is both China and Russia's pet, but Xi owns Putin. Putin owns Elon. Elon owns Trump. That's the line of succession.
So we wanted to take a closer look at
least from
just
my
how
point of view.
big the Department of Defense actually is in comparison to the rest of the government. Now, according to government data, the Department of Defense has about 855.
So that's our defense budget. We're firing 8% of the staff. Meanwhile, also Hegseth wants to fire generals and senior officers that are too woke. So, yeah, that's fun. We're firing our generals. We're cutting our defense. China owns Elon the same way that Russia does. China wants, like, he's trying to build a mega factory in China to sell Teslas. He also wants to do this in Russia. It's also like Tesla, but we know that Elon Musk has been meeting face to face with Putin for the last like 4 years now, at least once a year. So, like, I would argue that he is bought by Putin and Putin is owned by Xi because Russia couldn't sustain itself without Xi. Speaking of Xi, Moscow could offer the United States a cessation of cooperation with China in the field of military and advanced technologies in exchange for a peace agreement on Ukraine, terms favorable to Russia. So if we let Russia win the war and get everything they want, they might stop openly working military and tech stuff with China. These idiots have no sense of governance other than firing people. Well, I mean, that is often the case. The fascists cannot govern. They're good at taking power, but they're really fucking stupid when they have it. Here's, remember how Donald Trump keeps saying, you know, Ukraine started the war? Well, Putin's kind of fucking that up now. Trump says Putin would accept the European peacekeepers in Ukraine as part of the potential deal. Trump says Putin would accept blah, blah, blah. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he wouldn't accept any of this. He's like, nah, fuck that. Why the hell would I? But also, where is it? Damn, I thought I had it. There was also one of, there's a clip of Putin just saying, no, yeah, no, we did it. We did it. We have this from a live UA map. Putin said Xi Jinping informed him that the peace group on Ukraine will soon meet in New York, which means we're probably going to get Xi in New York. Putin, in a new interview with the Kremlin propagandist Pavel Zarubin, unloads lies about Zelensky, says zero support from Ukrainian people, no chance to win, blah, 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 blah. Also, Putin says Russia has much more rare earth minerals than Ukraine, would offer them to the U.S., and also offer aluminum in cooperation with Krasnoyarsk Krai, and 2 million tons of aluminum to supply to the U.S. market, also energy consumption. So they're trying to, like, buy us now. Masters of doublespeak they are. That is true, Headless Chicken. Guys, if we work with Hitler and he says we can split Poland and work together, yeah, literally. Like, that's kind of what's happening here. Ukraine has stopped them so long as Russia can't resupply. The sanctions are working. No, the sanctions aren't working. Russia has entirely transitioned to a war economy. They buy all of their goods from North Korea and China. we're not sanctioning them. They're economically, they're fine because the average Russian lives in poverty that is like undescribable. So, you know, it is what it is. Oh, this one was actually interesting. Russian intelligence announced that Donald Trump will save Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's ass while the Russian Federation is on the brink of economic disaster. As in, President Trump says he is in serious discussions with Putin to end the war in Ukraine, and a major economic deal will take place between the US and Russia. We are dropping all the sanctions, and we are giving them money. We're giving them all of your money that Elon Musk is currently stealing from the treasury. All of the gold in Fort Knox, we're stealing that. We're going to give that to Vladimir Putin. I don't care if it's true or not. That's the truth now. Then we have the wonderful Claudia Sheinbaum, who is suing the United States. So, President of Mexico, Claudia, argues that if cartels are terrorists, then those supplying their weapons, over 74% of them, which come from the United States, should be held accountable for aiding terrorism. In response, Mexico will expand its lawsuit against U.S. gun manufacturers. She also proposed a constitutional reform to impose the harshest possible punishment on foreigners involved in arms trafficking or any form of interventionism in Mexico, reinforcing national sovereignty and against external influence. This is based as fuck. Like, genuinely amazing.
En esta
And yes, long like Homo sapien. That's
designación de terroristas de los grupos delincuenciales.
I don't speak Spanish, so like we're not gonna watch this video. I was hoping there would be like an English person over, like dubbing over. Unfortunately. Oh, so I got two things. Remember yesterday when we watched that woman get dragged out of the town hall for asking her representative a very reasonable question? Here is a closer photo of her. They wanted to zip tie her hands. They weren't even cops. They were private security. Private security. This is a little vision of the future, guys. Remember, she was sitting in her seat. She asked a question to her congressman. They dragged her out of her seat while the congressman's on stage making fun of her. Oh, the little girl doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to face consequences for her actions. Like, they're evil. These people are demons. But I saw this morning. And you can't sue. There's no law anymore. I saw this morning. And, like, at first I thought this was like a regular ad. But it's not. And it concerns the fuck out of me. So.
The plan was to send them to Madagascar. Drink heat energy.
Why did the camps have swimming pools? Drink heat energy.
I'm gonna get copyrighted for the music behind this, but like I need you guys to understand this.
There was no cyclone B in the break. Just drink heat energy.
It's physically impossible to cremate that many people.
There's no record of Hitler ordering the final solution.
The Red Cross kept detailed records of all the deaths in the concentration camp.
Yeah, I don't know. This came up on my feed today. This is what Twitter is, by the way. Twitter is meant for this. This is the whole point. It wants to produce this belief in you. Twitter is one large psychological operation trying to induce this state of mind. But, like, I have not seen it this overt before. Yeah, Twitter has actual Hitler ads. I've shown one on stream. But, like, I mean, this is a Hitler ad.
There's only 270,000 people. Drink heat energy.
6 million was not enough.
6 million was not enough is what they end that video on. The last bit is, like, real, like, music. But, like, Jesus Christ, yes, we are in the Nazi country. I need you to stop not thinking about, like, stop thinking that these people aren't Nazis anymore. They are. They're all Nazis.
That's why I'm going to join the Elon Musk and President Trump's movement. My heart goes out to all of you. Fight, fight, fight.
My guy, you're fucking Mexican. They hate you. But, you know. Look, there's a lot of Hispanics that are, like, very much Nazis now that are MAGA. It's insane. It's actually so fucking insane. There was Jews that saluted Hitler too, true. We had a black guy running for governor of North Carolina who said he was a black Nazi and wanted slavery back. He could have been the governor of North Carolina. Speaking of Elon though, and speaking of Nazis, got some texts between Ashley St. Clair and Elon Musk, and these are interesting to say the least. So, hi cutie, see you soon. I want to knock you up again. That's an interesting text to send to somebody. Yeah, no Fed posting, please. But I want to knock you up, like as a text again, is just, it's weird. I mean, I can see it working in the right scenario, but hi, I feel like a lot broke down when Jared got involved. He said a lot of pretty horrible things to me and that he attributed to you, and I feel as though there was never a rift in our relationship before that. If you are in New York, if you'd like me to come down to DC, I would really appreciate being able to speak to you in person. I care about you deeply and feel as though third parties should have put a major rift in our relationship that I truly wish was better for the sake of our son. Okay. Really? Okay. And then, alrighty then. Well, we do have a legion of kids to make. Like this is breeder cult shit. That's why Elon has 13 kids. He's like fucking Genghis Khaning this shit. I need to spread my seed everywhere. That's why he likes incels, because everyone else can't. Although to be fair, all but one, I believe, of Elon Musk's kids were born via IVF, because Elon Musk reportedly had a surgery on his penis that destroyed it and made it unusable. So that's very funny to me, but like, they want white folks to outpace the birth of colored folks again. He doesn't want colored folks to breed. In fact, he's the type of person that would literally put chemicals in the water to make you infertile if you are like in a majority black neighborhood. Shoot, sorry, I messed up in Minecraft. Yeah, that doesn't count, you know. I got credible death threats today. I'm number 2 after Trump for assassination. Wake up. This is not the time for sentiment at the expense of safety. If I make a mistake on security, child's name, will never know his father. That's why the father spot on his birth certificate is blank right now, E, and that's why he has my last name. Necessary for now. Only the paranoid survived. I understand. Apologies if Ava's text upset you. There's been incredible discretion used here and will continue to be. The threat level will reach insane levels until the election is decided. Loose link sink ships. Dude's losing his mind. I do love knowing that he's this afraid of, like, us. He's afraid of us. He's terrified, paranoid. I like that. He should be. Supposedly his dick broke? Yeah. He's trying to make his penis work again through foreign dominance. I think they just actually like destroyed it while he tried to get gender affirming surgery, as Schwarzborg said. Most jobless man in the world. And then we get to this text. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the same text. Never mind. I thought I had 2. But you know, people say that Elon's the smartest person in the world, that he invented all of this shit. How about we ask Grok, his own AI? Has Elon Musk ever invented anything? Elon Musk is more of a visionary than an entrepreneur in the traditional inventor sense. That being said, he's been deeply involved in groundbreaking innovations. He's not the guy soldering circuits in the garage. Take Tesla. While he didn't invent the electric car, he founded the company, which he didn't do, and pushed it to make electric vehicles practical and desirable. Then there's SpaceX. He didn't invent rockets, but he founded the company, which he also didn't do, and charged to use reusable ones. That he did, sure. Hyperloop, he didn't build it. He tossed the idea out in 2013. So has he invented anything? Not in the Edison light bulb sense, but he's absolutely sparked and guided inventions. As in, like, other people have done his work, and he's taken credit for it, is what Grok says. He is very nervous that it's a liberal. I mean, yeah. He's fraud of the highest order. Obviously. Obviously, guys. Grok seems to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Little bit. Now, this right here is probably Oh, never mind. This is the wrong video, but this is still important. The tariffs are still going to come into effect. March 4th. Guys, get ready for everything to get infinitely more expensive. You got, what, week and a half?
I mean, you know, who can blame them if they made these great deals with the United States, took advantage of the United States on manufacturing, on just about everything. Every aspect that you could imagine they took advantage of. I look at some of these agreements, I'd read them at night, and I'd say, who would ever sign a thing like this? So the tariffs will go forward, yes, and we're going to make up a lot of territory. We're going to, all we want is reciprocal.
Guys.
We want reciprocity. We want to have the same. So if somebody charges us, we charge them. It's very simple. But
You mean Elon?
it'll be very good for us.
Because, like, this was always going to happen. This was always going to happen. They have had Trump administration officials go on television and say that they want a recession. So, you know, I'm just waiting for mass protests. You know that they're happening. There are protests every day in America right now. You just need to go outside and find them. But you know what will bring the most protests?
A continued push by Republicans to deliver on the president's, quote, one big beautiful bill for the nation's budget. So the floor vote on that is set to come tomorrow, but not so fast, say House Democrats. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries with this message.
Heading back to D.C. to oppose the Republicans' budget scheme that will slash and burn Medicaid benefits. There are 215 Democrats in the House. We only need 3 Republicans to do the right thing. They're going to fail. They're going to fail. The only correct answer here for a Democrat is we're not going to do this. Like, we're going to fuck it up. We're going to stall. We're going to make it so you can't pass this bill, and we're going to shut down the government. That is the right answer. I'm waiting for my family to fucking wake up, but it only works if something happens to their wallets. True. Like, it has to physically, it has to affect their life. I like when he signs something, they have the equivalent of a guy reading a scroll in front of the king. He has no idea what he's doing. That's actually very on point, pre-breakfast banana. I'm going to think about that from now on.
On X saying, with 215 Democrats in the House, they only need, quote, 3 Republicans to do the right thing, and Medicaid will be saved. So let's go live now to CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small. Torian, what's the actual risk to Medicaid here, and how does the House vote look so far, the vote count?
Well, that's the last question is a bit up in the air because Republicans who are on the fence have different beef with their party leadership.
Okay, fuck you. Here's the real answer to what this budget will do.
$10 for the cuts means the nursing homes shut down. People are put out on the streets. It means that poor kids don't get access to mental health services.
Congress doesn't exist, long like Homo sapien. We have unitary executive theory in place. Congress isn't real.
What happened 8 years ago was cruel. A tax cut put on the American public's credit card, 80% of the benefits going to the very, very richest, none of it trickling down. This version that Republicans are talking about passing in a matter of weeks is even more cruel.
Do you understand what $2 trillion in cuts to the budget means? Republicans now have the votes to cut $2 trillion in services for seniors on Medicare and kids on Medicaid. Tomorrow is the House's vote. We have a budget of $4 trillion. Or rather, a budget of, you have to spend $3 trillion. That's most of it. This is, they've cut all of Medicaid with this. And education likely, and most of Medicare, almost certainly. Sorry, I know this is gonna affect a lot of you, but like, I guess let me find a better video to cover it. There we go.
Leadership about the viability of this bill. They actually want to see more spending cuts than what's proposed in this legislation. But as it relates to cuts to Medicaid, there is some validity in the concerns from Democrats, considering the House Budget Committee voted out through party lines, of course.
Are you fucking kidding? I hate the media so much. This is DEFCON 1 for you.
This outline that looks to see.
Okay. If you are on Medicare or your family members rely on Medicare or Medicaid, this is DEFCON 1 for you right now. You are being attacked right now. Do something about it. Call your representative, annoy the shit out of them. Do something.
See about $800 billion in spending cuts made to or under the purview of the House's Energy and Commerce Committee. Within that, this is for mandatory spending, would be Medicaid. So it's likely that over time they're seeking to slash Medicaid spending by.
I'd rather not trade my speech for healthcare, Tyler. I already did a little bit of that with Australia, and that's as far as I'm willing to go.
About $800 billion. This also comes after
you're right.
Subcommittee.
Pretend to me. It's $2 trillion of cuts. $2 trillion. U.S. federal budget pie chart. $2 trillion needs to be cut from this. Mandatory outlays, $4 trillion. Social Security, 36%. Medicare, 22%. Medicaid, 15%. How do you think they can cut $2 trillion off of this? It's half the chart, y'all. It's half. So what half is getting cut? Well, veterans benefits, I'm sure. Federal and civilian and military retirement, maybe they'll keep that around. I don't know. They're not going to touch the military. Income security might be gone. Medicaid will almost certainly be almost entirely gone. They might cut a little bit from Social Security to leave some of Medicaid and leave Medicare alone for now, but they're going to take it all eventually. I helped an old woman get across the street in a wheelchair yesterday. Her electric chair motor was broken and she didn't know when it was going to be fixed, and she didn't have the strength for a manual chair. That's base as fuck. Good for you. I don't know. And also, like, if I used to go to Turkey for healthcare as well. They'll squeeze the ones who are the least likely to put up a fight. True. That's how they start. They will start with the easier fight, and then they'll take everything else.
On government efficiency.
In fact, if they don't touch most of Social Security and Medicare, then MAGA will get complacent. And the next time it comes up, they won't even worry about it.
Or DOGE in the House held a hearing that looked to address what they saw as waste and fraud in previous spending. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Georgia Congresswoman who chairs that subcommittee, had Medicaid in her crosshairs. So she talked about how that program, or Medicaid, I should say, that program has seen its share of waste. And
yeah, actually, Tyler, good point. Lots of MAGA on Medicaid. Just as I'm pulling up
lawyers
this video, map shows how Trump's own supporters could be hurt the most by his job cuts. I mean, this is for job cuts, but the same thing applies.
What are lawyers who are representing these federal workers telling you about the legality of these demands?
Well, there are real questions about whether they even have to respond to this email. And we are seeing.
Renee, thank you so much for that reporting, as always, particularly on this topic.
Always at the end. It's always at the end. They have an entire subsection before the actual title of the video section. Those maggots are waiting for their 5K Musk checks. Yeah, it's if they're ever going to get them.
And I think that this is really critical for people to understand. Look at this map.
This is the same map that's going to affect Medicaid benefits.
That is a map of where federal workers are who are living in the states that Trump won. Look at that number. It's almost 1 million people. So yes, it's own Washington, drain the swamp, all the things. But the reason why we are starting to see and hear more concern and even backlash around the country.
Oh, although we will be getting autonomous vehicles soon because Elon fired the guy who was in charge of making sure that those things are safe. And, you know, obviously they're not safe. So Elon's privatized that, and now we're going to get self-driving cars that are not safe in a couple years.
And even from Republican House members and senators, is because these are their constituents.
Correct. And I think there's a broader political question here, which is, does the American public at large care about these federal workers? Most people probably don't know someone, certainly if you're outside of Washington, D.C., that's been impacted by this. So that's the first question. How much do they care about these workers getting laid off and all of that? But there's another question, too, which is how people feel about Musk running what appears to be a little bit rampant across the federal government. And we have some indication in...
God damn, they're so... a little bit rampant across the federal government. By the way, I do, like, we need to talk about this, right? So here is a Trump voter after Trump won. Thank God it's finally happening. Let's get rid of the corruption and the government waste. This is that same voter this month. My daughter lost her job today. She worked for years to get what she accomplished. She loves her job and bought her home nearly just a few months ago. Life was good until she lost her job today from Doge. I voted for you 3 times. Now, yes, fuck around, find out. Yes, the leopards are eating your face, but I need... The point here actually is being made by Atheist Girl. She literally thought it would happen to everyone but her. Hyper-individualism is the thing that is killing us as a society. Not even as a country, like globally. This is killing us as a society. Because we... Like Americans specifically, I say this all the time. If you're outside of my house, you're the enemy. The walls of my house are my castle walls. I need guns to protect in case someone wants to break in and steal my gold. Like that's the mentality that we function with. We don't have community. People don't talk to their neighbors. People don't go outside and engage with the people around them. Everyone is afraid of what's outside their house because they don't go outside their fucking house and they don't find out. This is what's killing us, guys. This right here. This is what creates people like this. This was from CPAC.
Do you actually work for ICE?
No, not at all. Nope.
Explain the outfit.
It's $29.99 on Amazon. I would recommend buying a small if you're my size. This one's a little too loose for my liking. But yeah, if you want some entertainment, wear this and go to a Home Depot in a sanctuary city like where I live right now, Washington, D.C., and you'll see all the illegals. Not all of them, but you can maybe see a lot of them start to run away, and you feel like a group fitness instructor. It's really good.
And you actually think that's funny?
I think it's hilarious, absolutely. What's not funny is them illegally...
There you have it, everybody. One of the worst people I've seen here at CPAC, and that's saying something.
Like, that mentality is created from this mentality. It's me above everybody else. Redact this guy? What do you mean? Leftist Leo, that's why I'm volunteering at an LGBT youth homelessness hangout spot. Great, that's perfect. That's what I want everyone else to do. Yeah, redact this motherfucker. It puts a pit in my stomach. Look, I'm telling you guys, the Nazis are getting far too fucking comfortable. Here's Donald Trump saying that, threatening that any media that doesn't cover him properly.
I watch this MSNBC, which is a threat to democracy, actually.
I got it, Proud
They're
PBG.
stone cold mean, but they're stuttering. They're all screwed up. They're all mentally screwed up. They don't know what. Their ratings have gone down the tubes. I don't even talk about CNN. CNN's sort of like, I don't know, they're pathetic, actually. But MSNBC was mean. Their ratings are absolutely down. This Rachel Maddow, what does she have? She's got nothing.
He hates Rachel Maddow.
She took a sabbatical where she worked one day a week. They paid her a lot of money. She gets no ratings. I should go against her in the ratings because I'll tell you, she gets no ratings. All she does is to talk about Trump.
All Krasnov here talks about is personal grievances, but like the threat to media is important because... Where's Pam Bondi? Did I not pick up Pam? Where are you, Pam? This is him trying to censor. Yeah. Come on. Whoops. I guess I need to search that video. I put the wrong goddamn link in. I hate when I do that. Pam Bondi. Oh, come on. I actually really want this clip. Sorry. I'm gonna keep searching, so you guys can wait for a second. Come on. What if I narrow this down? Well, there's this. This is not what I'm intended, but
was elected the first time. Multiple news organizations reported that he was considering Pam Bondi for a job in his new administration. Maybe he was considering her for a big job. But she never got a job in the first Trump term. She never got any job. Why is that? Some reporting has suggested that it was because, quote, Trump staffers were concerned that questions about the donation would make confirmation hearings for Bondi difficult and damaging. Questions about the donation.
Yes.
The donation in question is this one, this $25,000 check. When Pam Bondi was serving as Attorney General in Florida, the Orlando Sentinel reported that her office was looking into Floridians' complaints about something called Trump University. Florida residents, a whole bunch of them, had come to the state attorney general's office.
Look, again, Pam Bondi gets to decide the law. If you remember the actual executive order that Donald Trump put in place, it is the law is what the president and along with the president, the attorney general decides is the law. Any interpretation of the law outside of their opinion of the law is not the law, that's monarchy, guys.
What's it going to take for us to wake up, and when I say us, I mean this entire body, to wake up to what's going on here? Is it going to be too late? Is it going to be when the president has accreted all this power?
It's already
and the
there,
Congress
man.
is an afterthought?
It took the Nazis 1 month and 3 weeks to dismantle a democracy, and we're a month in. So, like, you got 3 weeks, guys. Do something about it.
What's it going to take? I mean, the offenses keep piling up, and as I said, leaving it to the courts, number one, is a cop-out, and number two, when the vice president said something, I can't remember exactly what he said, but why should the court should not have the power to do this, and of course the president over the weekend famously quoted Napoleon, when you're saving your country, you don't have to obey any law. Wow, a president of the United States quoting Napoleon about not having
That was wild, man. It was wild. That's where we are. Here's our new FBI director.
We're going to do the opposite. Border, the forever wars, the narcotics trade. And yes, I do know a little something about human trafficking. The human trafficking portfolio fell underneath me in the counterterrorism shop where I was the head. And I worked with Tim Ballard at the White House to stamp out human and child sex trafficking. He was
Remember, this is the Epstein party.
Doing incredible work back then without any notoriety. And we reduced that by up to 50%, the amount of border crossings related to human and sex trafficking.
He's lying because he was literally doing this while Jeffrey Epstein was alive and had intimate information on the inner workings of the administration.
Tim Ballard has done some amazing work, and Jim Caviezel's a personal friend. For him to go out there...
Also, like, he is suing Jim Stewartson, the journalist, because Jim Stewartson called him a chud. That's the lawsuit. He's currently under consideration for FBI director at the time. Fraudulent multiply accused human trafficking rapist Tim Ballard, who faked child rescues to prey on women. Ballard created the fake QAnon film Sound of Freedom with QAnon believer Jim Caviezel. Like these guys are like, fuck anybody. Epstein is more than anything why Hillary shouldn't have run. They couldn't have constantly pegged Trump. Literally, that's the reason that we didn't attack Trump with Epstein this time around is because we had fucking Bill Clinton walking around. Like, again, I played the clip of Epstein today. He had inner workings of the administration. Oh, also, Kash Patel is not only the director of the FBI, but he has also been made the head of the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. I can see this going swimmingly. Like, we understand, right? They're hiring people for the jobs that are shit at their jobs on purpose.
Director Patel is set up to move up to 1,000 FBI officials out of Washington and into field offices across the country to fight violent crime. He'll also take over as acting director of the ATF after Attorney General Pam Bondi fired the agency's general counsel last week. Wow. I would say that he is a historic FBI director.
This is fucked, guys. Oh, and he named this guy as his assistant. This is the assistant FBI director.
The only thing that matters is what? Chat. What matters? Anyone? Power. Power. You can
Chat, what actually matters? Tell me, what matters?
see what I'm mouthing. Power. That is all that matters. No, it doesn't, Dan. We have a system of checks and balances.
Didn't you guys try and say I should run for office, podcasters in the government anyway?
That's a good one. That's really funny. We do? After the election.
Empathy. Empathy is the answer I was we're trying to say, but like you guys are correct. There you go, Shard Spork.
We may get the House back by 5-10 votes. Then we can pick a different speaker. He says, but this is not the time.
He's also posted stuff like this. The irony about this for this scumbag commie lib is that the cold civil war they're pushing will end really badly for them. Libs are the biggest pussies I've ever seen. They use others to do their dirty work. Their mamas are still doing their laundry for them as they celebrate tonight that their long-sought goal of destruction of the Republic has been reached. They're not ready for what comes next. They have never been. It's all revolutionary cosplay with them. Not anymore. It's all real now. You assholes wanted it. Like, literally, self-report. This roid-raging motherfucker, he's the assistant director of the fucking FBI, guys. I've been trying to tell you, Cash is the one that's going to do the purges, the Night of Long Knives for the rest of us. That's Cash's job. He's the one that had the hit list on government officials. He hates us as well. This guy, his assistant, is the one that's going to enjoy beating the shit out of you. Yeah, we're pussies, but they sob at Tom Hanks in a MAGA hat. Like, they are always self-reporting when they say shit like this. They are the biggest pussies. They're the ones starting a Cold War. They're the ones destroying the Republic. Like, they gaslight you. Don't let them. Everything they claim that you are doing is what they're doing to you. That's the whole game. The whole game. Okay, we're gonna watch something. Where are you? I think a lot of you might need
These are
to really understand what it is that these people believe and think. So we're going to learn about Curtis Yarvin and Dark Enlightenment. Now, I'm definitely putting this up to 1.25 because as much as I love Sam Cedar, he's a very slow talker. But I do have to pee, so I will be right back. You need to see Trump's interaction with Macron? We watched it, Tyler. We did. Everything told us in the 80s about privacy, they were telling us what they were going to do. That's kind of true. Alright. By the way, if you guys have like any suggestions or ideas for like a challenge I can do or something for like a subathon, your girl's broke and she needs money and like I want to work for it. So like what's something I can do? What's a challenge that we can place of like, oh, well, if this happens, then this happens. If you guys think of one, just let me know. Oh, sorry, my shirt is fucked. Thank God I have another shirt on under this. Yippee. Tyler, Macron absolutely rinsed him? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yarvin is Palpatine, the one behind the curtain. Trump is just the chairman of the company. I mean, kinda.
These are
some of the wealthiest people in the country, if not the world. And they were all standing right behind Donald Trump on inaugural day, or just about. Here is first Palantir CEO Peter Thiel, maybe the ringleader of the PayPal mafia, as it's called sometimes. This is just him in April of 2024. Just at a Mercatus Center event. Mercatus Center is the sort of
Thiel is honestly probably the one that's kind of in charge in the States right now. He's probably the one telling Elon and Trump like what to do.
Libertarian think tank, or one of those. Here he is.
Sort of, one way to think of the Weimar period was, I don't know, it's like the dwarves in Moria, where they dwelled too deep, and finally they awakened the nameless terror of the Balrog. But I think there are. I don't think we're ever in a cyclical world, but there are certainly certain parallels in the U.S. in the 2020s to Germany in the 1920s, where liberalism is exhausted. One suspects that democracy, whatever that means, is exhausted, and we have to ask some questions very far outside the Overton window.
As in, he doesn't like democracy. Outside the Overton window, like he doesn't. Democracy's dead in his brain.
Okay, so there he is saying, like, we're like Weimar Germany, and democracy, whatever that means, has been exhausted. I want to get back. Is that notion of like?
That's his actual point. That's his literal belief that we are Weimar Germany, and that like it is fun. But that was well before the election. That was a intention that he was talking about, not a belief. Again, when they say what they believe, they're telling you what they want you to do, what they want to do to you, rather. And when they're accusing you of something, they're also telling you what they're doing to you. Disregard boy, you came back really fast. Did I? Peter Thiel is a weeb for Lord of the Rings. He filters his fascism through Lord of the Rings. That's why he called the Panopticon company Palantir. Yeah, all of these people are like nerds. That's the thing. These are nerds that got rich by luck and by inheritance and just never developed a soul. Again, like Elon Musk grew up rich. His father had an emerald mine. He was able to, his father says it himself, that Elon could just go and grab money out of the safe anytime he wanted. Oh, thank you, Leftist Leo. I mean, if you think of a challenge, you can let me know. I'd like to do one. We saw yesterday when I rated Cosmopolitics, she was doing like a hot sauce challenge. So like, I don't know. I've never done one of these.
Whatever democracy means, who could tell?
Nothing has meaning.
Is interesting. Now, for people who don't know any history after Weimar, we saw the rise of Nazism. And Overton window means like, we got to widen the scope of what we contemplate as being normal.
It's possible if you have the right incentives. Like the reason rich people don't develop normal emotions is because they don't have to go through normal life. They don't have to suffer hardship. They don't have to be told no. They don't have to, like, they never suffer. They never feel discomfort. And so they expect that for the rest of their life. Everyone they talk to knows that, like, this kid could make me lose my job. So they treat them with high up respect. They don't disregard them. Everything that kid says is important. That's why it's like that. I just told my dad that Trump is trying to take Medicare. I have no response from him yet. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's Medicaid first, but
it's Mark Andreessen, the guy who created Netscape, another tech billionaire. This is him on the Chris Williamson YouTube channel. This is where and you will recognize this, Gil, from this guy obviously reads some Curtis Yarvin or talks to him directly, but here he is.
Talking about this too, right? Which is like, okay, how do we actually like redo the system is of course much harder. The other lens on this that I think about a lot is Curtis Yarvin, who's also a good friend of mine, and the way he describes the American system that's running the people, the way he describes it is we are living under FDR's personal monarchy.
We are living under FDR's personal monarchy. God, I fucking wish. I mean, like, I would go much further than that, but, like, even that would have been an amazing difference to our life. FDR's personal monarchy. That's so fucking funny. Like,
80 years later without FDR. Right. And the reason he describes that, he says, look, when before FDR, the federal government was actually very small. Like the tax rates were like super low. The federal government didn't do very much.
Camel, that doesn't mean anything. Like there's doctors that are anti-vax. There's doctors who've been doctors who were pro-vax for 30 years who are now anti-vax.
The FDR dramatically, like orders of magnitude increased the size and scope of the federal government. He did that for two reasons. One was the New Deal. And then
remember, we covered the business plot. They tried to coup FDR. They tried to coup the government and have a fascist dictatorship installed. We did a video on it. This was fully American grown. It was American companies. It was JP Morgan. It was Remington Arms. It was DuPont. These companies came together and they tried to overthrow FDR and install a fascist government in the United States. It's called the business plot. Go look it up or go watch my video on it. Yes, Smedley Butler. Smedley Darlington Butler. Like the man who saved America from fascism. That's why they're cutting education. True.
Was World War II. And so the federal government that Franklin Roosevelt left behind in 1945 when he passed away was the government that he had built, which he had run the entire time from 1933 to 1945 himself, in which he had staffed himself and he had overseen himself and everything. And he built this giant structure. And as Curtis basically says, as long as you had FDR.
The business plot also was in 1933. Like they did this right at the start. They didn't wait a couple years. His policies took place. They got mad at him. No, it was right at the fucking start. I'm still laughing at the fact that Prescott Bush wasn't involved in the fascist takeover. Prescott Bush being George H.W. Bush's father, so George W. Bush's grandfather, because he was too involved with the actual Nazis in Europe in 1933 that they didn't want him involved in the fascist plot in America. It's very funny.
Are running that, it could run really well. And, we won World War II and saved the free world, and like it worked and pulled the U.S. out of depression, like the whole thing worked and it was great. But if you let an organization of that size and scope run without its founder CEO for 80 years, you end up with what we have now, which is just like basically an out of control bureaucracy, like an out of control system.
All right. So I just wanted to lay that out. And there was also one where Andreessen, I think, was on Joe Rogan, basically saying that,
Joe Rogan is such an interesting person because Joe Rogan doesn't have a belief. Like, he doesn't have a brain. He only speaks, thinks, and acts mirroring the person across from him. So, like...
FDR, Hitler, whatever.
Disregarded boy, learning history and learning economics will bring you to the left. Genuinely, like, it will just do that. No one has to do it for you. You'll get there on your own.
People are really in control of stuff. All right. So with that said, he cites Curtis Yarvin. Who is Curtis Yarvin?
Curtis Yarvin is a software programmer from San Francisco who in the early 2000s started writing a weird blog under the name Mencius Moldbug. And in that blog, he outlined a lot of these ideas for getting rid of democracy in favor of a corporate monarch or dictator and running territories instead of by government, by corporation. For example, his idea for San Francisco was something called FriskCorp, which would be a corporate-run San Francisco where you need a special card to swipe it and swipe out. At every moment in FriskCorp, you're under constant and total surveillance. They know every single thing you're doing, even if you're in your house. And this is what guarantees the safety of the populace. Of course, he's only reinvented the totalitarian government of Orwell's 1984. But one thing you find with these guys is they think all the villains of science fiction and speculative fiction are the heroes.
Exactly. That's the point here. They want to be the bad guys. They want to be the sci-fi bad. They want cyberpunk built in real life. I'm telling you, one of these assholes played Cyberpunk 2077 and was like, I want to be fucking Arasaka. They read these books. Elon Musk was named after a character in a book written by a Nazi. His father explained this. There was a book written by a Nazi scientist that got brought over to the United States with Project Paperclip, and he wrote a book that is very like high detail of like spacecraft, how to build them, blah, blah, blah. And the book consists of a civilization on Mars that lives under the Earth. And that civilization is led by a guy, a leader that is referred to as the Elon. That's where his name comes from. That's all these people just want to be in the dystopian like sci-fi shows. That's what they live in. in their minds. They want to be the super masterminds that live under the city and control everything, and also well above the city. This can't be reality. I mean, it kind of is. This is like the bad reality and the worst reality, but like that's what they believe. That's what accelerationism is. They want to destroy the world. They want to make every problem that exists worse because they believe, Curtis Yarvin believes, as we're probably going to hear in this video, that if we make everything worse, then people will feel the desire and the need to come together and fix it more strongly. And so we'll fix the problems quicker, which is not how that happens. What if I could be head of the Arasaka Corporation and also be as cool as Johnny Silverhand? They keep having to choose and they keep crashing out when they choose wrong. You're actually so right, Sundry Clown Car.
They seek to emulate them. So I often hear from people that this is Snow Crash, this is Parable of the Sower, etc. They're all right, and that's...
Sorry, Camel, speaking of the Great Depression, you realize that we're in a very similar scenario that got that going, right? We have tariffs, we have inflation rising with the tariffs, inflation was very low, and we have banking insecurity because now they're talking about privatizing the IRS, the FDIC, we're pretty much set up exactly like the Great Depression.
The basic idea here. You get a lot of gobbledygook from guys who think they're really smart, but are actually saying really dumb and dangerous things, and now are sadly very close. They're in control of the federal government in Washington. And that's what's kind of shocking about it. When I started this work last year,
Elon, who is a friend of Yarvin, has private servers installed in the Treasury. Remember when everyone was mad about Benghazi and Hillary Clinton's private servers? Elon has private servers of everything in the government attached to the Treasury and just has it. Well, yes, exactly, disregarded boy. Depressions and recessions are bad for us. It's good for the wealthy. What happens is all of the company's values drop. If you're rich enough, you can coast through it. And when the economy starts to recover, you buy all of the cheap properties and monopolize them.
I felt like a lot of people, even people I know in a long time, viewed it as sort of a conspiracy theory. And, if Kamala had won, I would look like a guy who had way overreacted.
Anyone know a streaming service that's not based in the United States and that's not like a Hitler site? Because I don't know when I'm going to get banned.
To a few weirdos in tech. Even billionaires were criticizing me, saying, nobody takes these guys seriously. This is just a journalist trying to be in the New York Times someday. And I wish that had all been true, because what's happening now is even scarier and worse than I thought. And so Yarvin's idea is that Americans have to get over their dictator phobia, he said. And the way that we do that is by...
Americans have to get over their dictator phobia.
Installing a CEO to be like the shadow president and to destroy American government from within through something he calls RAGE, R-A-G-E, retire all government employees. And that's very much what you see happening right now through D-O-G-E, Doge, destruction of government by Elon, in Washington as we speak.
He lifted it.
I mean,
Rumble is just pedophiles and Nazis.
Honestly,
and so is Kick.
I think it is, you were just ahead of the curve here. Here is New York Times' David Marchese interviewing Curtis Yarvin. And this is the longest interview I've seen with him. And it's about an hour long. And there's sort of two segments. And I was struck by how exactly what you're saying. It's a lot of gobbledygook. And this guy's not that bright. It's fascinating. He's asked, why do you think FDR was a dictator or a CEO?
Oxyander, Blue Sky and Mastodon will not be safe from censorship. They are based in America. They have to follow the laws. The right will censor them and will add Nazi content to it. Doge is named after the coin. Yes, it's a stupid, shitty meme thing. Elon Musk wants to have a second service that is the enforcement arm of Doge called FAFO. Like it's all just like meme shit. We have the most Reddit fucking government I've ever seen. I'm still there might be some streaming services in South Korea. I'll have to look that up. Again, it doesn't matter what the service wants. It's the people in charge. They're in the FDIC says, oh, sorry, all leftist rhetoric is terrorism. Then what happens? All of us get shut down. If you are, because they're already talking about leftists. They're blaming leftists. There was a news article last week. Leftists are training illegal immigrants to avoid the law. They're going to do this eventually. What happens when they say, nah, this is all terrorism. You're all getting arrested. Fucking, they come to my door in Australia and extradite me. That's what's gonna happen one day.
CEO or a king, whatever, they sort of,
if we don't stop it,
they play around with these terms as more or less the same type of thing. And he doesn't seem to really have an answer except for a strange anecdote. But let's just listen to this for a minute or two. This is Curtis Yarvin being interviewed at the New York Times. This came out about 3 weeks ago.
Australia already extradited an Australian citizen to America because they asked for it. I would probably go to Turkey. I would try and go to Turkey because I am still a Turkish citizen. It's not like they'll like me, but you know, that would be my go-to.
Yes.
Know Mark Andreessen, and so I sent this piece to Mark Andreessen, and it's an excerpt from the diary of Harold Ickes, who's FDR's Secretary of the Interior, and it's a little diary entry describing a cabinet meeting in 1933. And what happens in this cabinet meeting is that Francis Perkins, who's the Secretary of Labor, comes in to this meeting and is like, "Here, I have a list of the projects that we're going to do." FDR personally takes this list, looks at the projects in New York, and is like, "This is crap. This is crap. I don't know what you're doing." Like, humiliates Francis Perkins in the Oval Office or wherever they're having their cabinet meeting.
This is just a lot of yapping. Disregarded boy, I'm well aware of Turkey's problems.
And then at the end of the thing, it's like everybody agrees that the bill will be fixed and then passed through Congress. This is just a picture of FDR acting like a CEO. And so...
No, that's a picture of the government working together to pass laws. That's just how the government works. It's not being a CEO, it's called being the president. Duh.
You know, the question of, was FDR a dictator? What does it mean to be a dictator? What does this pejorative word mean? I don't know.
God,
what I know
FDR
is that
was
Americans of all stripes, Democrats, Republicans, and everyone, you know, except for a few right-wing Republicans, basically revere...
A few, as in like 25% of the party. God, could you imagine if FDR actually was a dictator?
FDR, and FDR ran the New Deal like a startup.
Okay, okay.
Frank, what did you do? Why did you piss Curtis Yarvin off so much? Huh? It's not fair. You did the New Deal? Now you're just sitting in that box sleeping? That's not very nice of you. Blaming Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
I don't know. I honestly,
it's like a startup.
I'm waiting. Like, what made FDR a dictator in your mind? And he was rude to Francis Perkins the first time she came in. And everybody liked FDR. He ran it like a startup.
Well, she was a DEI hire.
What's going on here? Like, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time,
Pre-breakfast banana, that's all fake bullshit. Look, Bill Clinton was Jeffrey Epstein's friend, just like Donald Trump was. They always try and circulate all of the bad Clinton stuff to avoid all of the bad Trump stuff. Trump was just like as much of an Epstein friend as Bill Clinton was. A startup, what did he pitch to investors? Fascism.
Sort of diagnosing Curtis Yarvin.
He proposed fascism like a startup. Like,
to be a dictator, what does this pejorative word
it's whataboutery, yeah.
I don't know. What I know is that Americans of all stripes, Democrats, Republicans, and everyone, you know, except for a few right-wing Republicans, basically revere FDR. And FDR ran the New Deal like a startup.
Okay.
Yeah, FDR ran the New Deal like a startup. Sorry, I misheard that.
Okay.
That's even dumber to say.
I don't know. I honestly,
it's like a startup.
I'm waiting. Like, what made FDR a dictator in your mind? And he was rude to Francis Perkins the first time she came in. And everybody liked FDR. He ran it like a startup.
Well, she was a DEI hire.
What's I love Emma Vigeland so much.
On here? Like, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time, sort of diagnosing Curtis Yarvin. Although I did note that it seems like every reactionary wears a leather coat on some level. Like it's their way of saying, I want to take us back to the 14th century, but I'm wearing a leather coat, so this has got to be all new and rebellious. But what? There doesn't seem to be a there.
Yeah, well, these are people who are used to talking in rooms where nobody challenges them. So
it's the same thing with the rich generally. They're never challenged, so they feel comfortable. Just like how the Nazis can do their salute and they can talk about Jews on TV because they're comfortable. If you think about it, me and my WeWork writing code for my new app, I'm basically FDR. Yeah, that's their mentality is incoherent. Understand that, like it's all over the place. They believe conflicting things at the same time, and they want you to have that cognitive dissonance.
So your stupidity gets accepted and you get more competent in it. The other way to look at it is this is a disinformation for dumb people who don't know anything about what he's talking about.
Also
and
true.
So his cherry-picked anecdotes are used to convince all of these young wannabes in Silicon Valley that, oh, wow, it was a dictatorship, etc. There's one quote Yarvin has from a few years back where he says you can go into a bar and say, I think the British should have won the American Revolution. And people will say, yeah, that's cool. Well, try that shit in Boston or somewhere where actually people know about some of these things and see what happens in a bar. So this is a guy who...
Yeah, try that in Boston. That'd be fun. I actually was in Boston once, and I had a friend in the UK, and I had a bottle of iced tea, and it was like the end of the bottle. So I took a video of me dumping my tea into the harbor and sent it to my British friend. It was a very fun experience.
Who's sort of making up this universe from cherry-picked anecdotes and trying to prove this point. I mean, if I worked in government, I come from government. I spent a lot of my career there. I worked for Governor Jerry Brown. I worked for Senator Dianne Feinstein when she was chair of the Intelligence Committee. I come from mainstream Democratic politics. I'm not on the far left. And everything in politics is a negotiation. Everything is a test of egos and wills. That's designed that way from the Greeks and the Romans. There's a long history of how this works. There are checks and balances. If
it's a place, Camel.
Roosevelt had been a dictator, then why did we go and elect a bunch of Republicans who hated his whole project in intervening decades? I mean, it makes no sense, but it's not supposed to. We're not the audience for it. The audience is people who don't know history, who don't know what to think, and might fall prey and victim to this revisionist.
This is why we're watching this, by the way, because a lot of you seem to not know about Dark Enlightenment. So, like, we're watching so you don't fall for this
vision that is only designed to convince them that we're already in a dictatorship. It's just a matter of which dictator you want.
That's what Andreessen was basically saying. We've been living under a dictatorship without the dictator here, and that's why things are going awry on some level 90 years later. I mean, it's insane.
Yes, democracy is a dictatorship because there isn't someone at the top to control the democracy, so it's a failing dictatorship. Sure, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense if you have, like, the brain of someone who was in a car accident and then pummeled with a hammer following the car accident in the face.
Stuff, and I want to get to the plan. We got a lot of questions about that as well. But just one more thing that strikes me. Because you have delved into his writing, and from what I've read and heard from him speak, the fascinating thing is he is trying, when he responded later in that interview to, like, democracy, he defined it, where you heard Peter Thiel say, whatever that means. He defined it as, a desire for the common good, which is not what democracy is.
All of these people will, like, cover whatever their intentions in with the common good and then just be Nazis. Like, the common good is a good thing to work for. I'm working for the common good. But these people say it, and they're not. Disregarded boy, it's weird to me. Bannon's voice even started to sound like Trump. That's on purpose. Bannon wants to create a nationalist party after Trump, and he wants to bring people from the left and the center into nationalism. Long like Homo sapien, Andreessen built, like, one web browser and thinks he's being an elite human being for it. Literally all of these people. They probably used AI to help them too. History translated in Greek means inquiry. History is data that historians then come over to gain understanding. Not teaching history is a way of denying this reflection. Just interesting. It's a very good point, Oxyander.
Democracy is not...
He's trying to mimic his vocal tones, yeah. I really want to delve into the future in class. I'm learning a lot, but I'm selecting some history classes later for sure. We should do, like... You guys wanted me to do, like, a stream researching what was it, Pol Pot? Something. I can't remember. You guys asked for something.
I think everybody wants that, but democracy is about the participation in the decision making as opposed to a desire for what the ends is. And I want you to talk.
Was it Pol Pot?
About how slippery they are about what democracy is. And because there seems to be, with this sort of cohort of conservative thought, the way they strip this, the way they lay this bare is it's all sort of like focused on some type of outcome. And they try and, I guess, flatten the differences.
Erase meaning.
Erase the meaning of everything prior to.
That's literally what they've been doing. They do this to everything. Everything's meaning is being erased. Everything.
Flatten the differences.
Erase meaning.
Erase the meaning of everything prior to that on some level.
Yeah.
Emma Vigeland? You mean Vigeland, right? Captain Buggy? I would fucking love to have Emma Vigeland on stream. I don't know what the hell we would talk about, but like, that'd be cool. That'd be real cool.
I would add also, he used an example, and I'm sure you've heard him say this, about if, why would we want, Apple's run by a CEO? Could California, the government agency of making computers, make an Apple computer? Of course not. But that's
Apple used taxpayer money. We built the iPhone using taxpayer money. Therefore, the government helped build the iPhone. People, pre-breakfast Ben, it's insane that people have a hard time living with others that don't think exactly like them. That's because these people don't know how to feel discomfort. Living with other people requires you to have patience, requires you to feel discomfort every now and again, and you don't. You just don't. You don't know how to do that, so they don't have that functionality. In one of Andreessen's interviews, he explicitly described that he felt betrayed that he was not showered with as much adoration today that he used to be. He believes building some tech company makes him deserving of universal human praise. I mean, psychopaths. These are narcissist psychopaths. Dictatorship is just a democracy with a guy in charge. Yeah, they destroy meanings. They do. They do. Like, again, they're calling Zelensky a fascist right now. Sorry, a dictator. What do you think that means? I mean, they'll do fascist next too. There was mass social unrest at the beginning of Roosevelt's reign. This allowed them to take over corporate lobbies, take on the corporate lobbies for a while. It was highly democratic. Yeah, until and it was so democratic that they tried to do the business plot lost. So that's the whole point. You know, FDR was not a dictator. In fact, the people who wanted a dictator tried to take out FDR to make a dictator, and they failed.
Very, very narrow. Sort of like I guess, job assignment for government. It's not just we're going to make good computers. There's a whole host of addressing a bunch of different concerns, which is fundamentally about democracy. Will you just talk about that element of it?
Yeah, these guys only view reality through their own lens of tech and wealth and power. Having been in government, you have to view it through the eyes of vast constituencies of.
When we talk about these people, yes, I want to analyze the context of their actions, the material conditions in which they're acting, but we also have to start thinking psychologically about these people. First of all, like Elon Musk, for example, is extremely stupid. Peter Thiel is not. Peter Thiel is just evil. There are differences in how they think, but they're behaving in the same path. They're working on the same way forward. Thinking about those differences is important. Understanding why one of them is one way, why people think the way that they do. Looking at anything in politics with just context is good. Like analyzing context, analyzing meaning, analyzing data, but you have to also analyze the psychological aspect of it. These people are essentially just mentally ill. They're people that never truly grew up. Their personality never fused together. They had attachment styles that were dysfunctional. And so they didn't feel safe and attached to their parents. They didn't feel like they didn't get what they needed. You can see this exact thing in Elon Musk and how he treats his children. He fucking ignores his kids all the time. And it's because no one as a parent gave a shit about him. They were all like off doing whatever. And like, of course, like, you know, the parents still care about their kids, but they weren't there. You learn how to do this stuff by talking with your family. Except as a human shield, that's true. Except he walked off and left his human shield on stage the other day. I forgot about that, yeah. I mean, he came back after a lady in the crowd was like, you forgot your kid.
People, many of whom have different needs or maybe at cross purposes. Politics is a tough art to master. A lot of good people fail at it. And so when they talk about things like democracy, et cetera, a lot of their problems could be cured by a poli-sci 101 class. The common good through history has come to be defined as something
literally 101 class
that the public must participate in defining. What they're trying to say is that, well, there were times where there were monarchs or there were dictators, and the common good was defined as whatever they decided it was. And, they claim things worked better or whatever under those systems, which I think history will prove that they don't. So all of this is pointed toward complete ignorance of actual history, of political theory, of how we got to the system that we have, toward a return to some.
Oh, sorry, just for a second. British folk. The Nigel Farage, all of the Brexit folk, they're also a Russian psyop. Just so you understand, it's finally getting to the point where we can say that America was psyoped by the Russians. Krasnov is the president. I need the rest of you in Europe to believe it's happening to you too.
Something that doesn't work always gets overthrown, usually through violent revolution or war, and that would only benefit the richest guys in the room, which is them. So I think, if anybody who's familiar with the basics of political science can see the very juvenile and sophomoric mistakes they're making. But again, these are guys who don't get challenged in the rooms that they're in. And even when they get interviewed by, say, the New York Times, it's a pretty softball interview. This is a guy who's called for a dictatorship.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Remember how I said earlier that the best thing that that Bill Clinton did was bomb Serbia? It was because the Serbians were genociding everyone. Make Kosovo Serbia again is saying let's genocide the Kosovians. Kosovians. I don't know how to say that. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I hate Twitter. I hate being on it, but this is where the news is. So, I need to be on here. But this is bigger than yikes. This is just, let's start another genocide.
Dictatorship and laid out a plan that appears to be being followed, and you get this glow up black and white smoldering photograph of the New York Times. I mean, this is a really bizarre time to be living in. You couldn't get these guys to cover this stuff before. 3 days before the inauguration, they dropped the Yarvin interview. And believe me, I was talking to people and urging them to do this. And again,
we need to humiliate these stupid people and these stupid ideas. We need to, Kingsley Wilson. You're retarded and your face looks like it was smushed. Fuck you.
They're in weirdo land, and now we're all in weirdo land. So
yes, but they covered Project 2025, right? I mean, and that I guess is the
well. Before we get to Project 2025, will you just lay out the plan for us? Because then I think it overlays over Project 2025.
And by the way, these aren't stupid ideas; these are fucking evil ideas.
Oh, you're talking about the plan in the blueprint that Yarvin had. Well, in 2022, Yarvin updated his plan to a second Trump administration, and it's called the Butterfly Revolution. He did this on his Substack, and he said that the basic plan would be, and he said, this is all imaginary scenario, a harmless thought exercise, but the idea would be to install a CEO-style dictator while keeping Trump as the figurehead, to then purge career government employees, basically.
So exactly what's happening.
Carry out rage, retire all government employees, to weaken these institutions, get rid of any people who are loyal to democracy, replace them with loyal ninjas who would answer to the CEO dictator, not to the democratic process or to Congress or anybody like that. Then start centralizing executive power under the executive branch.
This is exactly what's happening. One to one. They're doing exactly this.
Rebutting the courts, refusing to go along with the laws, just challenging every aspect of the system to break it. And then, and also bypassing congressional oversight, and then use this new centralized power to start seizing the other centers of power in society, media power, academia, establish complete control over the information sphere, because in order to have this experiment last, you have to make sure it controls information because it needs to control future elections. It doesn't know.
Which is what I mean by, yes, the Department of Education is gone, but you think they're not going to come after the left online? People like Hassan, people like the Majority Report, people like Kyle Kalinske, people like me. Of course they are. Of course they are. They're the ninjas. They're going to come after us because we're going to be the ones left. The thing is, the largest threat to fascism is class consciousness. And who talks about class consciousness? It's the socialists and the communists. They're coming for us. They're coming for us. Now, am I safe all the way fuck over here? Maybe. But Twitch might change its guidelines suddenly, or YouTube might change its guidelines suddenly. And by might, I mean will, because they have control of the FCC. This is the point. And Sundry Klunkar, like, fascism is evil, but something any country could do if its rulers were stupid or desperate enough. Asking to restart a genocide in someone else's country is willfully evil. It's demon shit, man. It's literally demon shit.
Good if in 2 years we get the Congress back, or in 4 years we get the White House back. So that was the scary vision he laid out in 2022. And as far as I can tell,
that sounds impossible.
Yeah, everything that Musk is doing, again, it could all be a vast coincidence. You know, I'm a skeptical person myself. I'm a journalist. I come from mainstream politics, but it seems to me that they're doing everything on their list so far. And I've come to a point where I'm not going to underestimate these guys anymore. I am going to underestimate all of the people whose job it is to be telling people what's going on. I think if most of the American people knew what was happening right now, they would be very much against it. But
guys, like, show your friends this shit. Like, I have the living source document. If you have like a specific segment that I did that you think that like you could show a specific person and that might help them, ask me. Like, I'm trying to tell as many people as I can, but I get like 50 people watching me at a time. It's 45 right now. You guys need to talk about this with other people. Go outside, show people videos of them saying the things, not us saying the things, because they'll be like, oh, well, you know, like they're lying. Show them videos of Donald Trump saying a thing. Or Elon Musk saying a thing. I'll show them my stream. I don't care what it is. Just like inform people because he's right.
That it's systemic. I mean, that's the thing is that I think there's this sense out there that like stuff is happening willy-nilly, but this is part of a plan. But
no, I mean, that was my question. And it's really just, it's fascinating to see how this pairs with.
It gets less scary once you do it, disregard boy. If you're scared about like talking to strangers, go test it out in like a store. Go talk to the store clerk when you walk in and they ask you like, oh, how can I help you? Give them a nice compliment. I like your shoes. I like your hair. Talk to them, chat for a second. That's practice. Otherwise, if you want to knock on doors, like I said, bring cookies, bring a pastry, have something in your hand to offer them. And then chat with them. It makes things a lot easier. But again, after your first door knock, it'll be much easier. After your first random stranger that you encounter and start chatting to, it'll get a lot easier. A lot easier.
The lack of meaning that they're trying to engender, and the fact that these tech bros have control over our communications platforms, they're able to make that a reality. I mean, everybody's a blue check, and what information is true and what is not. I mean, I think I saw Yarvin saying that this is the prime opportunity for our plan to come into place or go into place, because right now we're in a very irony-pilled or an high irony time, essentially saying that there's such little education that our ideas sound okay. I mean, it's the same with the anti-vax stuff.
Who cares if they cancel you? Fuck the woke. Dark woke, disregard boy. We're dark woke here. My mods will throw me in the hole if I keep saying it, but, you know, that's my point of view.
That's where we're at right now.
Definitely. Everything is considered negotiable, and there's no opposition that's organizing to really counter what these guys are doing. Instead, the Democratic Party's stance seems to be that, well, we're just going to let them do it as much bad stuff as possible, and everybody will be against it. You know, we're starting to see some people stand up and resist it. We've got people like AOC and others. Jamie Raskin said the other day that they're trying to install a tech monarchy. People are creeping toward it. But I think what people need to understand is that this is not random chaos. This is a strategy, and it's a strategy they've been talking about and writing.
Remember, also, it is flood the zone. They do want to make you feel powerless. They do want to make you feel like you've lost already. They want to make you feel overwhelmed. The power tripping that happens when someone has your data seems like it is inevitable. The org amasses profiles and on millions of people and then wants to control them. He's literally going to feed all of your data, and he's probably already doing it, feeding your data into Grok AI. Everything that he stole from the government is going to train his AI. Oh, awesome, Shardspork. You're the mod that won't throw me in the hole.
About and bragging about for years. And once you understand that, then it takes on a different meaning. You can make more sense of what's happening. And basically, we've got an unelected, foreign-born billionaire up in our government, destroying it and defying our laws. This is exactly the kind of nightmare our Constitution was designed to prevent. And we need to be very aware of that, because we can stop it, but not if we stay asleep for too long. These guys are trying to do as much damage as they can, as quickly as possible, because that's their key to keeping power. And I don't mean keeping power for 4 years. I mean keeping power in general. And to see the Democratic Party largely silent, to see the major media outlets not really getting it,
it's not that they're not getting it. It's that they're done. They've bent the knee. It's not that the Democrats are silent. It's that they have bent the knee. The ones that haven't are not silent.
Pretty scary. That to me is the scariest thing of all. People should, this is an advanced conversation. Catch up, get your pants on, get your boots on, and get out the door. It's time
I've
to go.
shown you Democrats that are speaking up. I showed you J.B. Pritzker's speech yesterday. I showed you Democrats today. There are some, and the ones that are not enough.
I don't really see that happening from the party that, again, I worked for very mainstream politicians for most of my career.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe.
So, like, that's what these people believe. That's what they want to do. That's what they're trying to do. I will fight with you on the use of slurs, but we've talked about that before. And look, I've toned it down, Shardspork. The YouTube monetization kind of helped me. But, like, again, coddling ourselves with words, I don't direct slurs at people with hatred that are appropriate to the slur, for lack of a better word. Like, if you're gonna slur somebody, slur an asshole, but like, use one that you can use. I can say retard, I'm autistic. I could say the F one that I got banned for, so I can't say it because I'm queer. But like, you have to understand that, like, contextually. And yes, I appreciate like your input as well, Shardspork. It's not like you were wrong. You weren't. You were correct entirely. We need those Republican congressmen to fear regular average people more than they fear Elon bankrolling some primary against them. So make them feel that way. Captain Buggy goes full Vosh and calls local person. Look, sometimes it happens, alright? I can't help it. I don't even watch Vosh anymore, but I still sound like him. I check out like a video every now and again. As it glasses uses, I can say, hey, Four Eyes. I mean, sure. That's not a slur, but like, the thing is, like, you have to make these people feel bad. Be mean to them. We're not getting out of this without calling these people slurs. Like, you gotta call them ugly, retarded, fat, like all of these words that we know have negative outcomes and that like people might get offended by them, right? We have these words and we don't use them because we're nice, but the context in which we use these really does matter. And I'm really sick of people being like, well, isn't it like counterproductive to call this Nazi a retard? Shouldn't you like, no, I don't care. That's is the right answer. And we need to stop doing that. Like, don't be an asshole. It's that easy. It's just don't be an asshole. Oh, I have good news. The city of Coeur d'Alene, the city in which we watched that woman get dragged out of her seat by the SS, has revoked the business license of Lear Asset Management, the security guys who dragged the woman out of town with lawmakers over the weekend. During the meeting, opinions were expressed both for and against various topics. During the meeting, after speaking out of turn, Tessa Borenfall was asked to leave. When she refused, she was physically removed. Officers who were in the school parking lot due to a threat to one of the legislators were alerted to the incident after she'd been removed. During initial investigation, officers learned that she had bit one of the men involved in removing her, based Queen. With the officers' limited information, she was cited for battery. Yeah, of course she was. Bit the cop. Still based. Like, if you're being dragged out of a room by anybody, I think you're fine to, like, bite them. Forcibly, rather, you know? Oh yeah, I saw a lot of discourse about that and whether or not the grounds were justified for a justified homicide if she decided to defend herself. I mean, those plainclothes guys are basically kidnapping her. The law doesn't matter, Captain Buggy. Like, Genuinely, the law doesn't matter. It's whether or not you can argue to the attorney general or the president's pleasure. That's the law. I was saving my country, officer. This was a fascist. I was saving my country, so the president says it's not illegal. Fight the good fight, y'all. Keep it up. Keep it civil in chat. Zora gets a partial pass because they're stream. Chatters do not. I will clap you for calling each other slurs. Based, and that is damn straight the rules. Shard Spork. I don't think that anything much is gonna come of this, but like it is nice that they lost their business license. The city of Coeur d'Alene is as close to Nazi-friendly locality as one can find, and even they said fuck this shit. And I will say the reason for this is because Americans don't have the sauce for real fascism. Americans are entitled. We're pampered. We're coddled. We don't have it in us for real fascism. At best, we'll be like Italy, but American ideology and culture, especially on the right as well, is built on the ideas of freedom, justice, and liberty. Those are the three main concepts that each American, whether or not they live in it, whether they believe in it, doesn't matter. We all have these three concepts in our brain. And American ideology is built on these three concepts. It's actually very libertarian in the old school libertarian sense, not the modern libertarian sense. And so because our ideology as Americans, our culture, is built on this idea of libertarianism. Again, think about the right wing. Even their arguments are filtered through libertarianism. Big government, too much control, less regulations. I want the freedom to do what I like. It's all about freedom and liberty. It's all. And so fascism requires you to give up your freedom and your liberty. And a lot of people are not going to go along with it because they can't. They can't. Breaking. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is calling out AG Pam Bondi for stonewalling the Epstein and JFK files. Bondi claimed last week that documents were on her desk pending review, but she still hasn't said anything. I wonder what's taking so long to get those Epstein documents out. I wonder. I'll have this. This says happening now.
Hi, we just took a quick break from the Rules Committee meeting to come down and vote, but what we're doing in Rules today is going over the Republican budget resolution. It is a scam designed to give big tax breaks to billionaires and corporations by cutting Medicare, SNAP, Medicaid, and other vital benefits for all Americans. We're going to keep fighting this and keep you posted. Hi, we just took a quick
It's not good. Although I do have one piece of good news. This is very good news. This is actually really cool. All right. So we discovered that we could change the telomeres in mice. Now, telomeres are parts of your DNA. In humans, they degrade over time, and that's how you age. So scientists created mice with human-like telomeres that experience real-life cellular aging. This might be the biggest breakthrough in longevity science in decades. This is a big deal. So normal mice do not experience telomere-driven aging like humans. Their telomeres are long, and their cells have high levels of telomerase, meaning they do not hit replicative limits the way that ours do, as in like they keep making more. Theirs continue to heal. This is why almost every anti-aging breakthrough in mice has failed in humans. Telomeres are at the core of human aging, and until now, mice have not been a useful model in studying them. They're the bits at the end of your DNA. Now, scientists in Washington State University have now engineered mice with human-like telomeres. They replaced key regulatory sequences in the telomerase gene with human DNA, forcing the mice to experience hymen cellular aging. These new mice humanized telomeres undergo the shortening as they age, just like humans. Normal lab mice have telomeres about 50 kb. I don't know what kb would stand for in measurements this small. Biology. Kilobase, a unit of measurement used to help designate the length of DNA or RNA. Kilobase. Yeah, it's kilomase, rather, not kilobytes. kilobase. So, yeah, but this isn't about humans living longer. This is more just like treating cancer and stuff like that. So, this is one of the first time living organisms have been engineered to have human models of telomerase dynamics in a whole body system. It creates a realistic test bed for studying aging, cancer, and regenerative medicine. The genetic modification does not remove telomerase entirely. Instead, it mimics the human telomerase regulation, where the enzyme is active during the development but is replaced in adult tissue, except the gonads and thymus, and this is key to replicating human aging dynamics. Calorie restriction has been the gold standard for mice, and a drug called rapamycin, look it up, has been anti-aging news every day. So far, like, I want to see what that would do on these humanized mice. 1,000 molecule long, then, I guess. Base are basically like the alphabet for words, but for DNA. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Scars. So gene science is crazy. This is wild. So what happens to these mice? Well, their immune system dysfunction, fewer lymphocytes, reduced T cell activation, their gut aging, limited intestinal cell renewal under stress conditions, declined fertility, all that tracks. Some of the biggest open questions in aging now in research can be tested. Does chronic stress accelerate aging through telomere loss? Can telomere extending therapies reverse aging related decline? How does telomere length affect cancer risk over a lifetime? The researchers spent 10 years developing this model, and now they shared the mice with the world. Expect an explosion of studies targeting anti-aging drugs, cancer treatments, and telomerase targeting. The old assumption that mice cannot model human aging is no longer valid. It's not just about mice. This is cracking the fundamental mechanism for aging. Today we reset telomeres in mice. Tomorrow we might in humans. That part I'm not a fan with. I don't want to create like altered carbon where Elon Musk can live to 1,000 years old. But that's really fucking cool if we use it for good. You know, as in making sure that like we can help people with diseases and cancer and help people live longer and happier, more functional lives. Oh, whoops, that was still on screen. Oopsie. So, let's have a look at Bernie.
I do not want to hear one Republican come to the floor of the Senate and talk about freedom unless that senator has the guts to call out Trump for the lies that he is telling about Putin and the war in Ukraine. Mr. President, it was Russia that started the war, not Ukraine. It is Putin who is the dictator, not Zelensky. This country must not align itself with Putin and authoritarianism. We must fight for democracy all over the world.
Based as fuck. More tech only the wealthy can afford. Technically, this is more healthcare only the wealthy can afford. Disregarded boy, but same thing. We will regenerate Visora. Please do. My body hurts. Bernard. I do love Bernard. Oh, yeah. Fun. So, I'm trying to decide what to watch next. We got a couple things. We got quite a few things we can have a look at. You guys have any links that you want to share? Feel free. Because I am thinking of a few different ideas, and I don't know which one to pick. He is on his US tour. That is true. That is true. That is true. None of these are particularly relevant right now, so let's just move on. Fuck. Hold on. I got nothing. Let's have a look at Twitter. Oh, by the way, Dan Crenshaw doubled down and said, no, I absolutely meant what I said. So, like, that's kind of wild. Alright, it is what it is. Everything's shit, guys. I don't want to play a game. Nah. Alright. I'm going to end for the day. So I'm kind of done. I don't really have much else to talk about. Let me see if there's someone we can raid. That is excellent for you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. You know I love you all. Join the Discord and drop me a sub, because my sub numbers are getting low. Your girl needs money, guys. Broke as hell. All right, we're going to raid Cinemarxism, talking about Ethan Klein crashing out. So I think some of you enjoyers of drama will definitely enjoy that one. All right. Thank you all. Have a lovely night.